This is Brown right here. Stops, scoops it up and in. Wow! Oh my God!
Welcome to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Jet motion they go with here with Baldwin. And Baldwin breaks free. And the Bears sick 'em. Monterey Baldwin.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Flagler for three. Yes.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Well, 2 timeouts left. Minute 10 the first half. See if the Falcons can get something going here. And not there. It's dropped as Ryan. He fumbled, but it's picked up as Micah Parsons came through.
Now, here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go on this Thursday. Icy, chilly, cold Thursday, not just here in Central Texas, but throughout parts of the country. And we wish all of you the best in dealing with it. It wasn't as bad today. There have been a couple of little fender benders, I'm sure, a couple of bridges that are a little bit, you got to be dicey with it. But nothing like it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, and surely nothing like the Ice-Ageddon, or whatever you want to call it, a year ago in early February. We also understand that we're a sports talk show, and there's a lot more important things going on in the world, one way or the other, with what's happening over in Europe. And so we hope we can give you a chance, if you want, to take your mind off of many things that go on in your life every single day with our show until 6 o'clock, 3 to 6 Central, every single day. We have Emery in the studio. Jack McKenzie is here again. Paul to my left, Craig to my right, David Smoak, and Sikkim 365 Radio. Jay Billis, ESPN's Jay Billis. In about 5 minutes, we'll have Bob Bowlsby, Big 12 Commissioner, today at 3:30.
All right, I'm gonna do a disclaimer here. If you were gonna go on Twitter and virtue signal about Art Browse getting hired at Grambling, just don't. Pretend like you care for the day that you're going to care, and then do like you did when he got hired at Mount Vernon and not show up. You're not going to go there. You're not going to ask him any tough questions. It's not going to happen. He's going to be the offensive coordinator. However you feel about it, doesn't matter. Grambling's hired him, and now he's back in college football. That's, we went through this when he got hired at Mount Vernon, and John Warner and I drove all the way out there and thinking the whole time that it was going to be some kind of big, to do, and all the people who had all the things to say about Art, and some of them valid, some of them not, but none of them showed up. They, it's just virtue signaling.
He's now the offensive coordinator, Craig Smoak, at Grambling State.
I mean, good for him. I don't, it's whatever to me. Good for him, I guess. Hugh Jackson tried to make a move with him a few years ago, and ultimately caved to outside pressure and decided to move on from Art Browse after a day on set. Had multiple opportunities. I doubt he shows up at Grambling either. I'm just gonna go ahead and make that bet. I bet he finds a way to not make it that.
No, 6 years. You're right. Since Pepper Hamilton came out, and so that's that. There was a story from KTAL TV in the area of Louisiana, I think Shreveport, I believe Shreveport, who reported it was a done deal from their sources, and then they took it down. And so then you wondered, was this another one of those like the Cleveland Browns, like June Jones in the Canadian Football League, like Southern Miss, like others, that perhaps the backlash was too much? He is now on staff. It's been confirmed at Grambling State University. Also, there's a report by footballscoop.com. Georgia looking to replace their offensive line coach, Matt Luke. And one of the names that is on their list, at least from their reporting, is Eric Mateos, the offensive lineman at Baylor, offensive line coach at Baylor, who's done a remarkable, almost miraculous job with what he did. We have about a minute and a half here before we need to hit Jay Billis and then Bob Bowlsby so we can stay on time.
You stay away, Georgia. Just because you're the national champs doesn't mean you can have whatever you want. No, it'd be a great choice for them if they did. He's an up and coming star in the coaching business. If you need to look at the last 2 places he's been and the way their offensive lines have played, You know, look at when he was the assistant O-line coach at Auburn and how that offensive line played when he was there. So the guy's got the gift. So this is the first time and won't be the last, even if he doesn't ultimately get this job.
Yeah, you'd think that maybe they could go through one off season without having to deal with, some kind of major potential change or, just upheaval. But that's just the case around here every offseason, it seems like, no matter what. So, yeah, just when you thought that they had, secured their staff and Aranda's contract extension gets announced and everything's about ready to pivot towards spring ball, here comes, a major piece to what you did last year now in the running for another job. So, fingers crossed if you're a Baylor fan. I don't know what Mateos' ultimate goals are, if it is to keep climbing and just, get as much of a thorough resume as he possibly can, or if he likes where he's at and he wants to stick around for maybe a little while longer. But yeah, that would be a massive loss. So hopefully it's not something that they have to worry about.
They're also, according to this report, and again, I have not been able to get any confirmation from Eric Mateos, and not that he's going to give me one way or the other. I would doubt it. But one of the others is Auburn's Will Friend, very highly established, and also Ohio State offensive line coach Greg Swidwara. Now, last night, real quickly, Kentucky won again without their two starting guards. I'm going to talk with Jay Billis about that. Duke beat Virginia. Providence, triple overtime, beat Xavier. Texas beat TCU by 9, came back from 10 down. Iowa State by 3 over West Virginia. Wisconsin by a point. The game after their Sunday drama with Michigan, 68-67. We're going to take a break first.
Yes.
When we come back, conversation with ESPN College Game Day Saturday in Waco, Baylor in Kansas, Jay Billis, and then Bob Bowlsby. This first hour, Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports.
1, 2.
I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay with that. He knows exactly what I want. He keeps me coming back. He cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. Does the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy. Last name Barbecue. It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's tasty oak smoked barbecue.
Next in line.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs. Even offering financing if that's needed, everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include food, screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High Performance Men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Save big during the President's Day sales event at Allen Samuels. The new 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee L has total values of $2,000. For all first responders, get an extra $500. Shop the new car inventory for power, performance, style, and reliability today from their huge new car and truck inventory only at Allen Samuels in Waco. Now's the time to drive the amazing Jeep Grand Cherokee L you want.
Come by. Let's be friends.
See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Search 365 Sports on YouTube.
Jay Billis now joins us from ESPN College Game Day, ESPN College Basketball Analyst, Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. What is the day of game day? You've been a part of many of them in some of the great locations around the country. Jay, what does that mean, and how much fun is it to be a part of that atmosphere wherever you go?
Wow, it's great. Wherever we go, it's great. In Waco, it's been spectacular the times we've been there. But it's a little bit of a long couple of days work-wise. We get in Friday, we have all these meetings, tapings, different things, and have to do a show that afternoon, evening. And then I try to get to practice to make sure I see the team practice. You usually don't see the away team in today's game because they charter in, the night before and practice at home and then come in. And then the day of the game, depending on what time the game is, we're there early in the morning and do the show. And then once it's over, I'm back at practices watching both shoot-arounds and preparing for the game. That evening. I mean, last time, if I remember right, last time we were at Baylor, it was for game day. It was the Kansas game, but we went straight from the show right into the game. So that was kind of fun, and we've done that on a few occasions, and it's a pretty hectic but really fun day.
I think one time they were going to play Texas. This might have been one of the first times that game day was in Waco. We had an RV out in front of the Farrell Center, and you came into our RV, sat there, relaxed, and did the interview with us, and they have, and it's been a great atmosphere as well. Does what Baylor is dealing with now without Jonathan Tchamwa change your outlook on who they can be?
Well, it may change mine or outside observers. The question is whether it changes Baylor's. It's certainly not going to be the same. You take out that kind of player, and JTT is such a big energy giver. He's great at guarding ball screens and switching off. He blocks shots. He changes shots. He rebounds. He runs the floor, which puts a ton of pressure on opposing big guys. You're not going to just replace that with one person and plug someone else in. So the truth is everybody has to do a little bit more. They don't necessarily have to do a lot more. It's not on one person, but you might have to go with a small lineup at times, might have to change some sets and some actions and do things a little bit differently. And you might have to change your defense a little bit. So does it, I always look at these analytics, and I always have to keep in mind that the analytics tell you what the team has achieved to this point, but it doesn't necessarily tell you what the team is capable of in the future. And Baylor is capable of really good things, whether JTT's in there or not. Getting everybody healthy, all the other players healthy, is going to be important. But, there have been a number of teams I've seen. I actually saw Virginia play against Duke the other night. That was not the same Virginia team I saw earlier in the year. They were not very good, and they're very good now. And so there's still time for every team, Baylor included, to get significantly better from now until 2-3 weeks from now, when everybody's going to tip it off at 0-0 and play for the big trophy. So I don't put any limits on Baylor, but if you're asking, I think that the question really goes to the heart of, do you feel like Baylor has the same chance, or Houston, who lost, Marcus Sasser and Tremont Mark, like their margin for error is less. I don't think there's any question about that. It's a next, you do go with the next man up thing and do the best you can and see what happens. But there's no question they'd rather have JTT than not, of course.
Yeah, and they've been through this as a program that changed who they were when Tristan Clark went down. When they always had the big guys inside, they played the zone, and then they went to the guard-oriented type offense, and it ended up being not for Tristan Clark, who's now at SMU, but it changed who they were, and they did an incredible job with that.
Yeah, it can happen, and one of the things, David, that watching this for so long and being around it is, players have roles on teams, but their role isn't necessarily who they are as a player. It's who the team is asking them to be, so that particular team can be a championship team. When things happen, whether it's in a game, if some player gets injured in a game, twist an ankle, unavailable, foul trouble, unavailable, you oftentimes ask a player to step out of his current role and do more. And maybe there are players who are role players because they can't do more, but I'm not convinced that's anyone on the Baylor roster. Not suggesting that, but what I'm saying is, oftentimes when there is this kind of adversity, you see players step forward and do more because they've been capable of it all along, but they've not been asked to do it because of the makeup of their team.
They've got the Cryer thing, which is the foot, and then Flagler, who was an absolute, almost a legacy night for him in that win against Oklahoma State on the road with what he did. And then Matthew Meyer's been kind of under the weather, something going on. His conditioning's down. When you see this team, how much, Jay, when you don't have people or you don't know, games are wins and losses, how much do you feel like it affects them during practice to keep sharp, even though there's not a lot of practice time during the season?
Well, you can get practice in, but you don't get it in together. And there are certain times of the year, especially this time, where there are a number of teams around the country where their regulars aren't playing in practice. They're getting a little bit of individual work and maybe a sweat up, but they're not getting 5-on-5 reps, and that can affect your team chemistry a little bit and sharpness as a group. But at this time of the year, when you have injuries, you want to take all your risks with players in the games, not necessarily in practice, and you try to conserve them. And you don't want a player getting injured in practice just because you want to go hard and that's your culture and stuff like that. You have to make adjustments, but it's difficult. But the older the player and the more together the team has been over time, the easier it is to deal with that. I mean, there have been a number of players, I can name a few of them, it's not important, but there are a number of players over the years that you've watched, they don't even practice because they have to be prepared for the game and be ready for the game. They go through walkthroughs and all that and might shoot a little bit, but they're not getting in heavy duty practice like the rest of the guys.
Kansas at the top of the standings, Texas Tech, of course, with Mark Adams. Kansas had to deal without Remy Martin throughout most of this year. Do they have the depth to be a Final Four team?
Oh yeah, they're good enough. I don't put them with the top 8 teams that can win it all. And Baylor, if they were completely healthy, I'd have them in that 8. And I want to see more before saying, do they remain there or what? But I think they're, about a month ago, I thought there were 8 teams where the champion would come out of that 8. But this year is different from last year. I don't think anybody's as good this year as Baylor or Gonzaga were last year. And if either had lost before the Final Four, I would have my jaw on the floor. If any of the 8 teams loses in the Sweet 16 this year, I wouldn't be shocked. Look, they're not all going to lose, but some of them are, and a couple of them, may lose early. We just don't have the concentrated power. People, sometimes people, because of the football mentality we have, where you got to have an undefeated season or something. It was extraordinary to have two teams like that in 1 year last year. That's old school stuff that you don't see anymore because teams don't stay together like that. So it was a remarkable season, but this year is not like that. So it's going to be substantially different, and maybe it'll be more exciting when it's kind of a coin flip in some of these games when the number one team plays the number 16 team in the Sweet 16. That could the 16 teams fully capable of beating them. They wouldn't beat them in a 7-game series, but they could beat them in a game.
It's almost like last year was a collision course, and when that non-conference game was canceled in COVID, the Gonzaga-Baylor, that was just a matter of that was going to happen, and like the irresistible force and the immovable force headed together.
Yeah, and a lot of that depends on how the games are going to be called at the tournament. If they're called close, I think some of the Power 5 teams could get tripped up. If they're called close, if they're called the way the rules say they should be called, the way the officials, the supervisors say they should be called, then I think some of the Power 5 teams might have a difficult time adjusting in a given game. But if the games are called like they are in the Power Conferences, like they're in the Big 12, where they're basically hockey games, I think a lot of these teams are going to advance and do really well.
You have been saying that. You've been talking about that. That's been one of your core things this year. And maybe not just this year, but the way the game is played, is it getting back to the point where it's no blood, no foul in some cases?
Well, I don't want to suggest that. I mean, if you look back at games in the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s into the early 2000s, the game was not anywhere near this physical. And by physical, I don't mean boxing out on rebounds or things like that or taking charges. What I mean is putting your hands on a cutter and grabbing a cutter or chucking a cutter or having an arm bar in the hip of a driver or two hands on a ball handler, which are automatic fouls. It's all over the place. I have to be careful with the pandemic, say epidemic, or whatever. But it's all over the place. It's in every game. And a lot of these things, David, would be called flags would be thrown if you did it to a wide receiver in the NFL. Mm-hmm. That's where it is now. And to the untrained eye, people who are watching may not know, these are fouls. But if you compare it to the way the game used to be called, when I played in the 80s, we couldn't touch each other once somebody put the ball on the deck. You could do it with your body if you were going to stay in front in legal guarding position, but people thought it was more physical back then because there were no flagrant fouls. So when you fouled somebody, you put them into the wood, and that's where all the fights came from, the flagrant fouls. Now, and I don't know how this happened, but I tend to blame the administrators, the supervisors, and the NCAA supervisor officials. They're not making the referees do it. And the referees are great; they do a great job, But it's amazing how they can see these guys stepping out of bounds when they have a pinky toe out of bounds, but they can't spot this other stuff. They see it; they're just not calling it. And these referees see just about everything. They miss calls. I don't complain about missed calls unless it's a stupid thing. But missing a call is one thing. But seeing it and ignoring it on recurring plays is the problem. And it's making the game more difficult for offenses to play. It skews toward the defense, and it's not any fun to watch relative to teams that are allowed to go out and score. And then you get the ball back, and you get to play at that defense against their defense with the same rules. That's what basketball is. Right now, we're not seeing basketball. You don't have to bring a double. You don't have to help as much because you can muscle a guy on a drive and angle him out. So it's a much different game this year than even it was 2 years ago. And I know the officials hate it when I point this out. I mean, they hate this because they don't want anybody talking about what they do except them. But I'm sorry. I know what a foul is, and they're letting fouls go game after game after game. It's not every game. Some games are called clean. But it's most of the Power 5 games, you're seeing it every game. I mean, I could sit down with you and watch, Baylor versus Texas or Baylor versus Kansas, and I could point out 20 uncalled fouls and maybe more. And they're not going to stop doing it unless it's called. if we don't call those fouls, the players are going to do it more, and the coaches are going to teach them to do it because they're trying to gain an advantage. And the referees or the law, it's like if you're driving on the highway, people are going to go way over the speed limit unless you give tickets and slow them down. And that's the way this is right now in basketball.
Jay, one more thing. Who has the best, you think, upside between now and the tournament? Kentucky's won without their guards. It seems like at times Duke flirts with who they are. And then, of course, Auburn had their run. And is there any Arizona? Maybe it's Texas Tech and Baylor or Kansas. Who, in your opinion, has the best upside going forward?
I think Gonzaga is probably the best team because they're, they've got a 7-footer that can block shots in addition to Drew Timme, who can really score. And they're Chet Holmgren, the 7-footer, he block shots, he rebounds, and he can step out and shoot a three. And they're the best offensive team. Their numbers are off the charts. They're really good. They're not quite as good of a team as they were last year, but they're close. They're in that realm. And you don't win games. Like, their league's as good as it's ever been, and they're ripping through it. Nobody's even touching them. So it's not all that much different in a way than it was last year. Arizona's just as they're probably more balanced on as far as they can really score and they can really defend. But they're still new. They still feel new to me. And Kentucky needs to be healthy to win. They can't. They're not going to win without their two guards in the lineup. If either one of them's out, they're not going to beat the very best teams in a tournament setting, in my view. They can, but they're not going to. And Texas Tech's really good, but I tend to think that you're going to need to be a super efficient offense to win the whole thing. A bunch of teams can get to a Final Four because if the big shots fall down in your path and all that stuff, winning 4 games is not easy, but it's not as difficult as winning 6 when you're going to play other teams that have won 4. So yeah, I mean, how that is, but I think it's going to be, it's not going to be wide open. Everybody says this every year. It's going to be wide open. The best teams are going to advance. A few of them are going to get picked off and slip on a banana peel and lose, but I think the champion's going to come out of the top 8 teams.
Jay, as always, thanks for your access. Appreciate your time. Look forward to seeing you Saturday in Waco.
Can't wait to get to Waco, David. Great to talk to you. Thanks for having me.
Jay Billis of ESPN on Sikkim 365 Radio.
This is your 54th District Judge, Susan Kelly. Appointed to the court by Governor Greg Abbott, I've worked hard to manage and move the docket, even during COVID. Board certified in criminal law by the Texas Board of Legal Specialization and past president of the Waco Bar Association, you can be sure I apply the rule of law and deliver justice for all. Early voting starts February 14th, so be my Valentine and vote for justice. Keep Judge Kelly.
Political ad paid for by Susan Kelly from McLennan County Judge Campaign.
Three Nations Brewing Company has 16 different beers on draft with a new beer every Friday. It also offers 2 air-conditioned tap rooms, a large indoor beer hall, a second-floor mezzanine offering a great overview of the brewing company and equipment and patio where you can relax under the shade. Plus, you can now experience the new Three Nations Beer Garden Grill on our shaded patio with socially distanced seating for your enjoyment. Grab a cold beer and enjoy a bite from our freshly prepared and delicious menu. Street tacos, quesadillas, freshly cooked burgers and dogs and veggie burgers too. State Fair tornado fries, nachos, and so much more, all prepared and cooked on site. So come visit the award-winning Three Nations Brewing Company on East Vandergrift off I-35 in Carrollton.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Payments for qualified buyers are 2.9% with $5,000 down cash or trade. TTN Electric, see dealer for details.
The New Year, New Ride sales event continues at Richard Carr. Find pre-owned deals like a 2015 GMC Acadia or a 2016 Honda Accord for $227 a month. Or get a 2019 Ram Tradesman truck for $333 a month. Our vehicles go through a 172-point inspection. Get top dollar for your trade, and 100% approval is always the goal. Find your next car or truck today at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street in Waco is a hidden gem. They've got a great selection of spirits, wine, and the most extensive selection of craft beer in Waco in their gorgeous walk-in fridge. And they have an amazing array of high-end bourbons like Pinhook, Weller, Buffalo Trace, Brush Creek, Hotel, Garrison Brothers, Thomas S. Moore, Hooten Young, and Bardstown. Great customer service and a convenient and speedy drive-through window. Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
It's plain and simple. Waco Custom Marketplace is the one-stop shop for what you need for tailgating, from charcoal, cold beer, and wine. And, of course, customize your order with brisket, tri-tip, sausage, wings, smoked pork tenderloin, country-style or pork spare ribs, marinated beef and chicken fajita meat, ground beef and chili, meat, hot dogs, and burgers, buns, seasoning, sauces, chips. There's fresh baked bread and kolaches every day, breakfast sausage links. And you can also customize your favorite cut of steaks from select, choice, or prime, bacon wrap fillets, ribeyes, New York strip, sirloin, T-bone, and porterhouse. Full service butcher shop includes pork, poultry, beef, chicken, and seafood, serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Erie Drive, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Are you a Sikkim 365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at Sikkim365.com.
We were able to have Big 12 Commissioner Bob Bowlsby on this show the day that Baylor and Oklahoma State put on that classic Big 12 football championship up in Arlington. And the commissioner joins us again on Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports, on this very cold and frigid day in Texas and among other places around the country. Bob, thanks for your time. We do appreciate it. How much does the college football expansion delay affect in any way, one way or the other, the Big 12?
Well, first of all, let me say that this is my second ice storm of the winter, and I thought I got out of this when I left Iowa. But notwithstanding that, the CFP, there isn't any other way to say it. I've been frustrated, and I think the long and the short of it is, if you don't want to do something, one excuse is as good as another. And I just am not real happy with where we landed, but it is what it is. And I think the playoff will expand. The silly part of this is that, another 12 months from now, or maybe 15 months from now, we're going to have to re-engage on these very same issues. And so it's not like we've solved anything, and I don't think we're going to find a period of real calm waters in the future. And so, there were those who thought it was just a terrible time to expand the playoff, and I disagree with that, mostly because I'm skeptical that we are headed for a period of calm water. I think we're going to continue to have student-athlete advocacy people. I think there are going to be continued court cases. I think there are going to be continued litigation. There's going to be continued interest by elected officials. And so, we're going to have to go right back to this again in a very short period of time. And we'll be on the clock that time because, when we get through the next 4 playoff games, we don't have a playoff after that.
Why not, even if you said, okay, we don't have it, the conferences can agree, we don't have enough ducks in the road to do this next year or a year from now or a year from that. But why don't we go ahead and say that here's the playoff going forward? Wouldn't that have been productive if you couldn't get it done for 2 years, at least get it done 4 years from now?
That would have been just fine if they'd have agreed that, we're not gonna capture the extra $450 million in years 11 and 12, but this is going to be the model going forward. We actually spent some time talking about that, and there were still objections and still concerns and still assertions that it wasn't the right time, or we hadn't satisfactorily taken into account certain people's interests. And so, that's it's a fair question. It's the essence of my frustration, but I don't have the prerogative to stay frustrated. We have to go about the process of working through it, and now we're going to delay it for a while, and then we're going to have to work through it. Then we're going to be on the clock.
Bob, how much does the voting block or that alliance, so to speak, make things more difficult in terms of voting?
Well, not really very much. They each have their own reasons. Each of their reasons are different, and so I don't see them as a voting block. They do have some business relationships together, just as we do with the SEC on the Sugar Bowl. So they do have some things where they have similar interests, but in this particular case, each of their objections are different from the others, and so I don't know that they're acting in concert on this occasion.
There is talk about when you do add Brigham Young and then the other three from the American Conference, or whenever the timeline eventually of what happens with Texas and Oklahoma, regardless of that, are you wanting divisions, or do you want the top two teams to play for a championship in football?
Well, it doesn't matter what I want. It matters what our athletic directors want to put in place, and they're going to listen to our football coaches as well. And, they'll ask me for my opinion at some point in time, but it's really an athletic director's decision. And there are strengths and weaknesses of any model. We've talked about the number of games, whether or not we want to stay at 9 or want to drop down and play 8 games and have 4 non-conference games. We've talked about divisions. We've talked about in some sports we might not play divisions. In other sports we may very well play divisions. So we have half a dozen subgroups of our athletics directors and our basketball operations, football operations folks that are working on those topics now, and eventually we're little by little we're snapping in the new members and getting them started so that we hear what their thoughts are on it. But I don't have any doubt we'll come to a conclusion on it, and we typically announce our football season's about a year ahead of time. Usually it's in October, and I don't see us having any problem meeting that deadline coming to this year. But there are still a lot of decisions to be made.
Do you think that every conference has the good of the overall college football picture as their goal, or do you think some of them will continue to put their own interests over the good of sustaining what a model would be to have college athletics the way that we can understand them?
Well, I wouldn't make any accusations around that. You'd have to ask others what they're thinking. But, I think part of the reason why we got to where we got to with the current playoff, and I was in the room at the time, and I was the only one of the commissioners, the A5 commissioners that was in the room, and it was kind of inspiring to see Jim Delaney and Mike Slive sort of lay down their weapons and say, "Okay, I'm gonna live with this if you can live with that." And there was a lot of give and take, and ultimately we ended up with a 14 playoff that I think was a huge step forward. It's better than any of the predecessor structures. We have learned that larger and more access and more resources, maybe getting more networks involved with the televising of the playoff is going to be a good thing for us and a good thing for college football in general. So, you'd like to do what you can for your own league, but we all have to kind of keep our eyes on the prize and make sure that we don't do anything that's detrimental to our conference, certainly, but we also need to be thinking about what's in the best interest of the game.
Name, image, likeness, obviously a very hot topic. How has it unfolded compared to what maybe your original expectations were?
Well, as you may know, I was co-chair of a group that was looking at a whole bunch of information and trying to put some plans in place and I guess guardrails, if you will. We were still working on it in the last week of June with the July 1st deadline looming over us, and ultimately the NCAA legal team and leadership decided that they didn't want to get sued again, so they weren't going to put any guardrails in place. Obviously, I was disappointed with that. I thought it was a mistake, but we feel like we owe our membership a little more guidance than that. But in the end, it's easy to look back now and say I told you so. But we have a lot of issues and a lot of problems and a lot of new enterprises that would have been manageable in some measure, or at least would have been better off had we put some guardrails around it. So, whether or not we can go back now and unring the bell or put the toothpaste back in the tube or whatever analogy you want to put. Obviously, we're not going to compete with state law. We have to yield to state law where it exists. But you've even seen some states that have come back and said, "Whoa, this is way more complicated than we realized," and they've deregulated their rules, and so it's very much in flux. The thing you have to remember about it, though, is that the July 1st came and went, and the sky didn't fall. We still are playing football games and basketball games. There are a few people that are highly publicized that have made big deals. But generally speaking, you look at an average college football team or a college men's or women's basketball team. There's maybe 10 or 15 kids on the football team that are making any serious money, and 3 or 4 kids on the basketball teams. And so, it isn't the end of the world that everybody thought it might be. But, with the transfer portal and some of those things, it was explicitly said in our discussions that NIL was not supposed to be arranged by the institution. It was not supposed to be an inducement for transfer or for initial enrollment. Those things were in the guardrails that we had put forth, and they're still what everybody believes, but there are no specific rules that prohibit those kinds of things from happening. And so, there are places that have taken advantage of it, and there are places that are waiting and seeing. And, there's everything in between. And, we still, there's a lot of evolution in the NIL space that's going to take place in the years ahead.
Bob, there's the Sun Belt Conference is losing teams to the American Conference, and some are trying to get out others, and there's schedules, and now there's lawsuits or whatever. With what is happening with the teams joining the Big 12, Brigham Young is independent. They have their own timeline. But the others with UCF, Houston and Cincinnati, how has that gone about their timeline, and is that going pretty smoothly with what they want to be able to do to get to your conference as soon as possible?
Well, in BYU's case, they do have a conference that they have to extricate themselves from. They're in the West Coast Conference with Gonzaga and St. Mary's and Santa Clara and those guys. And so, they've wanted to be respectful of the WCC, and they have been, but they've told us they're going to come in July of 23. The others, all 3 of them have said not later than July 1st, 24, but they all are working with the AAC to get themselves here on July 1st of 23. And so there are stipulations for extrication that involve money and waiting periods and notice periods and those kinds of things. And so they're working their way through it. We just made a visit to we being my senior staff and I at the conference to BYU last Thursday and Friday, and they're going to be a terrific new member as the Baylor faithful found out last fall. They have a good following, and they do things the right way at BYU, and so it's after visiting, I'm very excited about them coming in, and I'm confident that the others will come in 23 as well. So we expect to have them playing a full schedule by the time July 1st, 23 comes around, but they still do have some things to work out with their other conference.
There has been discussion at times about super conferences, whether that ever gets to that point or not. You would then have 12 Obviously, with Texas and Oklahoma still a part of the mix, it would be 14. Do you ever see the Big 12 looking further to get to 16, or do you feel like you just need to make sure you get to 12, have everything, the dust settled before you look at that as an option?
Well, I think it's probably the latter, although, there could be circumstances that would lead us in a different direction. I think we've probably got all the change we can manage right now, but that notwithstanding, there may be opportunities down the road, and it's hard to tell where those opportunities could come from. But when we were doing the press conference for the 4 new members, I said very clearly, this may not be the last tranche of schools that we take, and so whether we would go to 16 or whether we'd go to 20, who knows? Might be something in between, but I don't know that there is a clear indication at this point in time that larger is specifically better. And there's always been a lot of talk about the super conferences, but you lose a lot when you get into the bigger alignments. You lose traditional rivals, which I think contribute greatly to in-house attendance. I think that's one of the real strengths that the Big 12 has had over the years is we played a full round robin in football and a full double round robin in men's and women's basketball. We play each other a lot, and as a result, I think our league is strong from top to bottom. I think the Big 12 is better from first place to last place than any other of the major conferences. I think we have very good balance in our major sports. Name one where there isn't great competition, and so. Larger isn't necessarily better, but if we started to get indications that we could be helped by a larger alignment, we're certainly not going to foreclose on that at this point.
How are things going with Texas and OU's exit? I know that's got to be complicated in everything that goes on. Are you still expecting 2025 to be that drop dead day at this point?
Well, that's what they've told us, and that's what our grant of rights would indicate. So we don't have any reason to expect otherwise. But it has its rough points. There are things we talk about that perhaps you wouldn't want departing members to be discussing with you. On the other hand, it's my responsibility to make sure that the student athletes and the coaches of those two universities get fair competition, however long they're here, and that we do the things that are appropriate in college athletics, and I take that responsibility very seriously. And so we're gonna make darn sure that they're treated properly, and that we do for them what we do for others, and that doesn't mean there aren't going to be some sharp edges, and that there aren't going to be some times where there are abrasions, but we're going to work very hard to make whatever time they have in the league as productive for them and for us as it possibly can be.
Bob, taking a look at basketball season, obviously there's been a lot of attention on the Big 12, 4 teams in the top 20 right now. Baylor, Texas Tech, Texas, and obviously Kansas as well, all in good position. And there'll be some other teams, obviously, in the postseason. You got 4 teams on the women's side ranked. Just how do you feel like hoop season has gone so far on both the men's and women's side?
Well, pursuant to my earlier comment, on the men's side, you got West Virginia at the bottom, and they've got 3 wins in the league, and Oklahoma's got 4, and Iowa State's got 5. The amazing thing about Iowa State, they I guess they're 6 and 9 in the league right now, but I think they have 9 wins over quartile 1 teams. It's really indicative of what I was talking about from top to bottom. We've got good basketball teams, and I think the same is true on the women's side. As you mentioned, we've got 4 in the top 20, and but by the way, you got a big day in Waco on Saturday with Baylor and Kansas on the women's side, and Baylor and who is it on the men's side?
Kansas women.
Oh, Kansas, yeah, those guys, yeah. So it's a big day in Waco and the Farrell Center, and that doesn't get any better than that. It's nice to have both men and the women competing for the championship.
Bob, one more thing on the TV contracts, the grant of rights. You mentioned that different conferences have different end dates. We know the ACC has a very long timeline. Do you ever, and have you ever been worried about that big, huge chunk of money drying up? Is it always going to keep going up, even with what you now have with the changes in the Big 12? Is it just always going to have a large chunk of money?
Well, it's a really good question, and it's one that we pose to ourselves and to our consultants frequently. But the one thing about it that I would say is about as comforting as anything is that live content, particularly live sports content, is kind of the coin of the realm. If you own live content, it's valuable. And there seems to be an almost insatiable appetite for it, particularly at the highest level, and we're going to continue to play at a very high level. And so, I think that while details change and some of the players change, as we've considered how we might market an expanded playoff to the broader audience, one of the indications we've got is that there are a lot of broadcast entities that would like to get into college football on a greater basis, and that would include regular season and the postseason as well. And we play at a high level, we recruit at a high level, and I think live content is always going to be really valuable. And so you never know how valuable until you get into the marketplace and start looking at how many suitors you have. Ideally, you'd like to have multiple organizations that are interested in your product. That's gonna, it's gonna be like any other auction that drives price. So, I feel good about where we are. I feel good about our future alignment, and we've got a little more time, but in March of 24, we have a mandated negotiation with our current partners, ESPN and Fox, and we will either come to terms with them, or we'll end up taking it to the open marketplace. But I feel good about the content we have and the level of competition, and I think that the environment is changing. The migration from linear cable to streaming is alive and well, and yet live content's always going to be valuable.
Yeah, and when that day in late July happened, not to go backwards, but there were so many that thought there would just be a mass amount of money lost for each of the teams who remained or anyone who joined. Did you ever just believe that at any time at all, where you felt like that you were still going to end up on the other side with a really good situation for all the members of the Big 12?
Well, you don't lose big brands like Oklahoma and Texas and have no impact. It would be foolish to believe that there won't be some impact. But we went out and brought in the four best that we could find that were available. They all compete at a high level. They're big schools. They are in great areas. They are in great recruiting areas. And I just think that we did as well as we could possibly do. And, there may be a reduction as a result of the inventory that Oklahoma and Texas take with them, but we're also bringing valuable content into the league, and we'll be back to 12 in a few years, and I like the 12. I think our competition is going to be as good as any in the country.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate your time again. Always appreciate your opportunity and access you give us.
Yeah, good to be with you guys, and be well, and don't get caught up in the ice.
Yes, sir. You too. That's Bob Bowlsby, Big 12 commissioner, with us. There's a lot of things that he said that we have discussed quite a bit. I know we have Max Olson. We'll discuss Max Olson some things as well, college football writer. But one of the things you heard him say near the end is something that some don't quite believe is valuable, and yet he just reiterated it when it comes to live content. I think we've mentioned that many times before, and when you have who are the new things other than the regular television networks? Amazon,
Apple TV, Peacock, Paramount,
even ESPN with ESPN Plus, they want games. Now, does that mean it's going to be SEC Big 12? No. Does it mean, like he said, it's going to be what it has been? Probably not, but it's not going to be like your head and your arms fall off and all you do is have the trunk of your body.
I just want to say hello to all the people. Hope you're having a great day that doubted the expansion reports when you were first talking about them. I want to say hello to you again, the ones that I've seen a little snipe here in the last couple months here and there about the part 2 and that being completely off the table and just totally made up and whatever else anybody wanted to say about that. That door is very much just left wide open by Bob Bowlsby. I don't know if you guys caught on to that or not.
He said
part
maybe
2,
even 20.
Maybe even 20. So just hello to you all that wanted to take your little pot shot here and there on expansion talk and things like that. There's Bob Bowlsby talking about it, leaving the door open to up to 20 teams. And I know he's talking and he's not saying they're going to, but just hello to you all. Nice to see you.
I think some of the other opportunities that might end up, depending on whatever happens to other places, other conferences as well, with the grant of rights and much more. And that doesn't mean he just said Memphis. That doesn't mean Bob Bowlsby just said Boise State or SMU or South Florida or whoever else you want to put in those blanks. But I do know this, that a lot of you who are watching on our YouTube channel, you heard what he said, and a lot of you have gotten on the chat room with us and discussed it. You felt like at least that door was not shut because he could have said that, and he did not. And that doesn't mean it's going to happen maybe as soon as you want, if at all, but that door absolutely was open.
And I like that, you put all this out there last fall, and there was not like a vocal majority by any means. Like, one or two people on occasion, you see a little, I was making up stuff, or, they're whatever. And it's like, okay, well, there you have that interview right there. There's example A. And, yeah, I don't know who that could potentially be. And, look, he's not guaranteeing that there will be anything, but he's definitely not closing the door on it. He's definitely not saying that. So, that was definitely of interest. I think a lot of what he had to say was of interest, though, just kind of getting the Big 12's perspective on, a lot of different topics that we just covered there. But, that's interesting, and I'm curious to see where all this goes because as we know right now, this is a world where you can't really predict anything at any moment. So that's going to be fun to keep tracking here.
We are not done. We hope you've enjoyed our first hour. Jay Billis. And there was a lot of chatter about some things that he mentioned about the officiating, how physical it is. He doesn't want 40 free throws from either team. He just wants the flow of the game to be better, which obviously, if you start calling too many fouls, you're back to the free throw line. And that doesn't mean I agree with everything, but I appreciate his access. He's not easy to get on, and we've had him on 3 times already this season. We appreciate him. Bob Bowlsby, hope you had a chance to digest that. We'll get that up. Emery and Jack and Armstrong with what they do daily for us. Later in this 4 o'clock hour, Max Olson, college football writer. Tim Jankovich, he's the head coach at SMU. They have Houston this weekend, who they beat just a week or two ago. Much more to come, including former players Larry Rose III, Orion Stewart on the USFL draft. Thank you for watching and listening to us. This is Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. Get your name on that inbound vehicle list right now if you're looking to get into a car or truck sooner. And all you got to do is contact Richard Carr and tell them, hey, I'm looking for a new vehicle. Explain to them kind of what you're eyeing. And if you come to a match, they will get your name on that inbound vehicle list. So when that new car, truck, or SUV arrives on their lot, they'll give you a call, and you can go pick it up and get your car or truck sooner than having to deal with a lot of the other runaround that you're getting right now at car dealerships. But they offer a lot more than that over at Richard Carr. They also offer great deals on both new and premium pre-owned cars and trucks. So right now at Richard Carr, they've got a lot of options, particularly when it comes to SUVs. 11 different models from GMC, Buick, and Cadillac. Dozens of trim options as well. They are a one-stop shop to find that SUV for your needs. They've got the sophistication and luxury of Cadillac Escalades. They've got the fun and nimble Buick Encores. Whatever you're looking for, whatever size and style or brand, Richard Carr is the SUV you need starting at $24K. And they're also loaded with premium pre-owned cars and trucks. As I mentioned, it's not just all new models. Each pre-owned vehicle goes through a 172-point inspection before hitting the lot. They have over 10 lenders who will help you get into a car today because 100% credit approval is always the goal. So go online or come by for a test drive. And when you do drop by the dealership, or when you give them a phone call to either get your name on that inbound vehicle list or talk to one of the sales agents, just know that you can trust the good local people that you can count on for over 20 years here in Central Texas. Proud Wacoans, proud Baylor Bears. Log on to Richard Carr, that's KARR.com today. Call now or go see them now off Highway 6 at the Imperial exit.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So, let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneerboys.com.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, family-owned and operated must-visit pizza place in Waco. Fantastic pizza by the slice or get the whole pie to share. Great happy hour specials every single day, and it's not just pizza. Great wings. You have to try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries, pizza pillows, and more. Dine in for a great hangout or carry-out. Order online at shortyspizzashack.com or do yourself a favor and bring your crew to the restaurant at 12th and Bagby. Shorty's Pizza Shack. Tell them Paul sent you by.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Max Olson of The Athletic, brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
First down pass attempt, felt the pressure and went down. It was Bernard who affected him.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Max Olson, theathletic.com, national writer, college football writer, great friend of the show from day one, joins us, Sikkim 365 Radio. And Max, thanks for your time. What were your thoughts? I've been thinking about this for the last couple of weeks. We haven't been able to get you on. Did they make some decision where the transfer portal information won't be as available? Is that going to make your job harder?
Appreciate you having me on. They decided that, so the NCAA decided to set up two-factor authentication for logging into the portal. So people who have been logging into the portal who shouldn't have logins to the portal, they are having a tougher time getting on there. So it's you're seeing fewer people tweet about it, and the names still end up getting out, and kids still go in and all that. But I think the NCAA finally figured out a way to have fewer people snooping in there.
And they used a brand new piece of technology, two-factor authentication that, has been around since 2009.
We'll see if anybody else adopts it. Yeah, exactly.
Golly.
Why didn't I invent that, right?
Max, the college football playoff derailed. We just had Bob Bowlsby on right before you talking about, how, they missed an opportunity and that now they have to go back to the drawing board. Do you find it kind of silly that, look, if you can agree that you don't want to do it now, you could at least start working on 2026 now, so then when you go to the TV people, you can say, here's what we're going to do.
Right. Yeah, sure. You would think that that'd be the case, but certainly this is, I can also understand why folks like Bob Bowlsby, who put a lot of, he invested a lot of his own time and effort into this and putting the original proposal together with the other three folks that were on that committee. And I can certainly understand, wanting to take a break from all this and being frustrated by, all the politics that went on over these past few months to delay this thing and hold it up. And so I don't blame them for trying to take a break from this and letting people cool off a little bit. Certainly, we've talked about it a bunch on when you guys have had me on, but it's a frustrating deal. I'm certainly disappointed that that the folks in the alliance hit the brakes on this for everybody. And, I think we'll see probably over this period of time between now and 26 that, guess what? The 14 playoffs probably going to go a lot like it's gone, and probably is not going to benefit the Pac-12 or the ACC very much.
Max, Art Briles is back in college football, new offensive coordinator under Hugh Jackson at Grambling State. Your thoughts on what has obviously been a long journey, a lot of, getting a job and then having it taken away, hours later and all of that. But just your thoughts on what that move means and Grambling State.
Yeah, certainly it will be interesting to see, what they look like offensively. We haven't really seen Art Briles calling plays on offense in quite a while here. I think that it's surprising. You would think that Hugh Jackson has met other people who would be deserving of these opportunities, but this is a friend of his, and he's willing to take all the heat that comes with this. And I think when I've talked with other coaches over the years, the term they always used with Art Briles was radioactive. That they just thought he was really untouchable from a hiring standpoint, and certainly surprised that Grambling would go in this direction. But I think cynically, you kind of always had to assume over the years here that somebody was going to take a shot, and it probably would be at a lower level school where there's not as much media attention and scrutiny and stuff like that.
One thing, Hugh Jackson tried to bring him in as a volunteer, just like as an analyst with the Cleveland Browns, and even the owner said good. And then about a day later, he was gone because, again, that's the social media backlash. I'm not so sure about a week ago when the story came out that it wasn't like floating one of those test balloons up in the air just to kind of see the reaction. Do you feel like if he could get on campus, actually start coaching, that perhaps things do calm down, and Grambling apparently is ready to take on that, whatever it is, and just get him on campus and get him on staff and let him coach?
Yeah, I think that anyone who's tried to hire Art Briles or talked about doing it has probably believed that that there's going to be immediately a lot of heat and a lot of negative attention that comes with doing that. And I'm sure Grambling is assuming that will come and then that will pass, and then people will go back to focusing on other things. And so I'll be curious to see kind of what the news cycle is on this deal. And, certainly we've talked about this before on when this went down over the summer, but I think you have to, if you read the actual NCAA report, certainly the word you would not use on that was exonerated. So they certainly have to answer for the fact that, the NCAA wanted to punish Art Briles a lot more, but certainly didn't have the means to do so. And that's a, real red flag among many in making the fire.
Max, I'm curious your thoughts on, and this is kind of out of left field what we were talking about, but Mario Cristobal and the staff he's putting together in Miami, Charlie Strong, Kevin Steele, he had a little bit of a time getting an offensive coordinator, but looks like he is, they say he's got money to play with, and he's playing with it all right now in Dade County.
Yeah, certainly. It's interesting to see Miami really go for it. And it's been, they're kind of like Texas in some ways, where there's been a few moments where you say, Miami's about to be back, and they just haven't been. And, I think that this move, not only with, hiring Mario Cristobal, but then also hiring Dan Radakovich from Clemson as the AD, was a massive move by the people with money at Miami. And, to get Josh Gaddis and Kevin Steele is one of the more impressive coordinator duos anyone put together this offseason. And so, I'm excited for the possibility. Maybe to a Florida State fan like you, not super exciting, but I think that it's exciting to see where this could go. Can Miami actually put it all together again in terms of getting those kids to stay home and not go to Alabama and Georgia and those schools, and can they actually build something sustainable there?
Max, Jaden Daniels entered the transfer portal a few days ago. I know there were some rumors about him committing to Missouri that he had to clear up, I guess, earlier today. But what do you make of the situation right now at Arizona State? And then what do you think of Jaden Daniels as a prospect in the portal?
Paul, did I get that right? You're a Florida State guy, right?
Yes, that's true.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Say it louder. Yes. Say it much louder.
That's true.
Hey, Jaden Daniels, right now I've got him ranked as the number 2 best available player in the portal. And I think part of that is just, you can have the debate over whether you'd rather have JT Daniels or Jaden Daniels. JT's kind of more of a 1-year take. I think Daniels, I think Jaden Daniels is really talented player. And, he's been basically a 3-year starter for Arizona State, a player who, didn't really totally kind of take the step in the right direction he needed to over this last year or two under Zach Hill there. But a very talented player that I think if he finds the right system and the right coaching staff, has a chance to be one of the more productive quarterbacks in the country this year. So I'm really interested to see if he's staying in the Pac-12 at one of those schools. Is he going elsewhere? I think a lot of the schools that had QB needs have solved them. So he's kind of a mystery guy in all of this. And I think that, certainly it made sense that he would leave Arizona State because his name was tied to the NCAA stuff there. And I'm excited to see where he ends up.
Max, I know you got to go. How do you feel, man? You're getting better?
Yeah, we're good. COVID finally got us, but fortunately it was just kind of a 1 or 2 day deal, and then it felt a lot better since. So, yeah, back to normal and back to work here. Appreciate you asking.
Yes, sir. Thank you. You and the family appreciate it. It's Max Olson, national writer, theathletic.com college football writer, with us Thursdays, most every Thursday at 4 o'clock. We'll have SMU head basketball coach at 4:30 today. Craig's off the radar. Then a couple of young men who were drafted in the USFL. One, Orion Stewart, who played at Midway High School here in the Waco area, and then at Baylor. He has been on a lot of different teams on and off, like the story of what we have with Jameson Houston, the story we have with others, and including Larry Rose III, who played high school football here at Fairfield, just a little bit, southeast of east of Waco. And then he had a tremendous career, record-breaking career at New Mexico State. We'll have those two in the 5 o'clock hour. Craig, you were going to mention something about the USFL, a couple of the notes?
Yeah, if you remember at Sikkim 365, I put out a piece today on the 5 Baylor players that were selected. And I didn't add Zach Smith on there because he didn't finish his career at Baylor, but I suppose you could add a 6th guy there with Zach Smith since he was a starter at Baylor for a little while. But no, I mean, there's 5 former guys, and it's very interesting to see kind of how far out some of these guys have been from their playing days. Like Orion Stewart, when you think about it, like he's been out of college football for like 7 years at this point. It's kind of crazy how time flies by, but 5 guys ultimately who have all taken, different paths to get to being able to have this opportunity with the USFL. So Jake Burton was the first off the board, offensive lineman. And I wrote kind of a background on all of these guys, but unfortunately for him, I don't know how great his Waco memories will be because he was here not for 2021 and that tremendous run. He was here for the build up to 2021, which was a just brutal 2-7
he would
season.
I think he would have, of course, Eric Mateos was pretty undefeated with all the offensive linemen that played this year, but that would have been great for him. And he may not remember it fondly, but I don't think there's going to be very few people like who won national championships or Super Bowls or whatever in 2020. Those are the people who are going to look back and go, 2020 was a great year. The rest of us, the 99.9% of the world, are going to say, yeah, you're sucked all the way around.
Yeah. So he was with the Giants practice squad for a little while, so he's getting an opportunity with the Philadelphia Stars. Cornerback Jamison Houston, another guy who's been gone for 4 or 5 years now at this point, I think, or maybe a little bit less than that. But Jamison Houston headed to the Michigan Panthers. He'll be teammates with Orion Stewart, who we will talk to here in a little while. Orion was out of the league for a couple years after getting waived by the Bucs, and he's been somebody that's bounced around from 4 to 5 teams, never quite gotten that outside of a practice squad opportunity, but he'll obviously play a bunch in this league. Wide receiver Chris Platt going to the Generals. Chris has. He's been waiting on an opportunity for like 5 years.
Yeah.
He's literally been waiting since his career ended, and that was 3-4 years ago at this point. And then Drew Galitz, punter, going to the Gamblers down in Houston. Even though all the games are going to be played in Birmingham, eventually if they do, spread out like they're planning on, he'll be settling down in Houston for the Gamblers. But Galitz, I thought he was going to be a guy that would actually get a little bit of NFL run, honestly. But he had a bunch of different tryouts over the years and just never quite stuck with anybody. He was off to a pretty good start with the Renegades in the XFL, and that just got pulled out from underneath everybody midway through the season. So that's the last that he suited up. And I know some of these guys have dabbled in like the Spring League, and the guy who runs the Spring League is running the USFL. So there's that connection. Brian, I forget his last name, but the guy who was running the Spring League down in the Austin area the last few years, he is the one in charge of the new USFL. So, yeah, those 5 guys, Burton, Houston, Platt, Stewart, and Galitz. And I know some people thought maybe there'd be more like a Corey Coleman or a Kendall Wright or those guys. But, no, it's these 5, and, it's a good opportunity for a handful of guys.
Jack, I sent an email to Armstrong, the picture of the letters that Jonathan Chamwa is receiving. Thank you, sir. This was from Scott Drew's account earlier today. Another day of mail for Jonathan Chamwa. Thank you for all the support for him and our Baylor athletes, and, of course, #joy. Look, that's just, again, who knows? It's just a stack of letters, and I've looked at some of the zip codes because I'm a stalker. And there's from San Antonio, all throughout, probably from throughout the country, because of what he went through a week ago Saturday?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago Saturday in the game and the win against Texas.
Well, I'm sure that makes him feel good. And, that's awesome that some people chose to do that. It's very nice, just very human of people out there to do in a very non-human feeling world right now. But, that's cool to lift his spirits. Hopefully they were lifted by that. I'm sure they were.
All right, now it's 4:19. We'll discuss SMU basketball in just a moment. Last night or yesterday we had Grant McCaslin, and I'm telling you right now, we've had a lot of the coaches, the connections from Baylor or Waco or whoever with University of North Texas, including their administration. It's been kind of fun. Their fan base loves the coverage that we give their coaches, and Grant McCaslin was fantastic yesterday in their 12-game winning streak. We will have a note on the NFL and broadcasting a little bit later on in the show, plus Craig will have his off the radar as well. Jay Billis, Bob Bowlsby, Max Olson, we're not done. Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. How about pizza bowls? I got to tell you, it took me a while before I finally ordered one. Not because I didn't like it. I've never tried them before. Marco's Pizza. Give yourself something to brag about. They have the pizza bowls, $7.99. Pizza without the crust. Try one when that is opportunity to you. There's 4 locations in Waco for a Marco's Pizza delivery or business. Bellmead, the new one in Robinson that's open, also in Woodway, and then, of course, in China Spring. And now they're building a new one that will be up in the next probably 2 to 5 or 6 weeks, month and a half, in the Hewitt Drive. And with that, that'll allow them to even get to you even closer, faster, whatever, if you order around I-35 down to even Lorena. So they have specialties every day. Marcos.com online, 4 locations. They're about to have 5. It is delicious. One of the ones that we kind of looked at a couple of times when the ads popped up on when I get information about Marcos. Bob Mock, the owner here in the Waco area, about the pepperoni magnifico. We ordered it. It's fantastic. Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it.
This is your 54th District Judge, Susan Kelly. Appointed to the court by Governor Greg Abbott, I've worked hard to manage and move the docket, even during COVID. Board certified in criminal law by the Texas Board of Legal Specialization and past president of the Waco Bar Association, you can be sure I apply the rule of law and deliver justice for all. Early voting starts February 14th, so be my Valentine and vote for justice. Keep Judge Kelly.
Political ad paid for by Susan Kelly from McLennan County Judge Campaign.
Truck Month started early at Allen Samuels. You could get a 2022 Ram 1500 Quad Cab Lone Star with total values up to $7,500 or as little as 0% for 72 months. This month, first responders get an extra $500. Come see why Ram continues to win awards year after year. Take home power, performance, and reliability, and shop the huge new car and truck inventory in stock today at Allen Samuels in Waco.
Come by. Let's be friends.
See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
When we moved to Texas, we were like fish out of water. We didn't know anyone in our neighborhood until our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent came to the house. She was so helpful and reassuring, a friendly face with that Texan hospitality I'd heard about. When we purchased a Texas Farm Bureau insurance policy, we knew we were making the right choice. We knew our family would be protected.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Brad Boozer, Boozer's Jeweler, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Brad, what makes you different than anyone else, in your opinion, as far as what Boozer's does?
The fact that I own the jewelry store, anything I need to do, will do, or can do, I can do it. The buck stops with me, whereas a lot of places you have to go up the corporate command and corporate channel. Well, if you come in and want to make a deal, we sit there and we make the deal.
And you can find whatever someone's looking for, correct?
Anything is obtainable. I don't care what brand it is, what size it is, how much it costs, large or small. Anything is obtainable, and we can definitely get that in for you to see, look at, or buy.
Do you have the opportunity if people have to pay things off as far as a layaway program? What about what you have with financing?
Absolutely. We have 12-month no interest financing. We have layaway. If you want to pay with Bitcoin, I can take Bitcoin now. So if there's any way you want to pay for it, we can find a way out to make it work.
You want to know why they're successful? Brad Boozer, the owner of Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air in Waco.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
The Sikkim 365 Radio app is sponsored by Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
Let's go to the chat room for a little bit. Tim Jankovic, the head coach at SMU men's basketball coach, with a win last night. Houston this weekend, who they beat earlier in the month. He'll join us here in about 5 minutes. From Phil. So we have people all over the world who are watching at times. We know that Mexico, Belize, pretty much the same thing. Phil is in Vegas this week for NASCAR. And he wanted to say hi to Good Afternoon 365 coming to you from Vegas. Crazy week starting next week, going to NASCAR weekend, then Wednesday and Thursday watching Pac-12 and Mountain West Conference basketball. Jacob, who's a big second expansion level, if the Big 12 ever gets to that, and you need to listen to Bob Bowlsby, who joined us earlier today if you didn't hear him in that discussion. Joe Lenardi's bracketology has Boise State as the automatic qualifier as a 7 seed. All right, thanks for that. Let's see here. Papa Blake. Evening, Phil. I saw ribbon cutting for the new English Hotel in Vegas. Interesting concept. Open showers in every room with no curtains.
Huh. I had no shower curtain my last year in college because I didn't want to buy one.
Oh, you got
I was only going to be there for the first semester, and when I was going through like buying stuff at Target for the new apartment after we moved, I forgot to buy a shower curtain, and then you got to buy a shower curtain. I'm like, no, I'm not going to spend $12.
Yeah, that would have gotten you.
I mean, it was the only person who could see me was me, so it wasn't.
Phil said, "I'm going to bring my binoculars." Stop. Ray, be careful what you ask for, Phil. Brock, why is Jay Billis crying about foul calls? Welcome to big boy basketball. And then someone else also added that they didn't want to see a bunch of free throws. They didn't want to. I don't think that's what his complaint is about. And again, we had him on earlier about an hour ago, a little bit over an hour ago. Jay Billis just wants the flow of the game to be a little bit better. Now, hey, Baylor's taking advantage of last year. I mean, that was a physical, manly basketball team. I do understand kind of what he's talking about, but I don't want to see. I don't want to see a parade of team. I did JUCO basketball. We mentioned a lot of things about junior college yesterday, but there were some games when each team shot 35 free throws.
Well, and I do think that, and like everything, I think it was an overcorrection at first. We had the championship game between Gonzaga and North Carolina a couple years ago. That was absolute free throw parade, and it was whistle, 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 whistle. And it was a terrible game to watch on television. It was probably a terrible game to play in, to be at, to watch, to whatever. And so the NCAA said, okay, well, how do we fix this so it doesn't happen in the championship game? Well, maybe you just need to talk to those 4 officials, not the whole thing. And I think they kind of overcorrected a little bit on what they've done. And it's kind of fouls in college basketball are kind of getting to that point of what's a catch in the NFL, like where, I don't think everybody knows what they are really. You know what it seems like they're doing a better job of, although I know some might disagree. It seems like they are doing a better job because of that circle on blocks and charges. Now, I'm not saying they're getting it all right, but it seemed like that has been cleaned up just a little bit because of that line that they've drawn. But I'm a very much football, whatever sport, let them play. Let the players win the game. Let them play. But there can be a point where you do kind of
it muddies it up. It kind of gunks up the game sometimes if you
a flow of guys cutting to the basket or whatever else. I don't have the answers. I just know what I think. We watched the game, Gonzaga and Baylor. The national championship game was on earlier. We had it on one of the flat screens against the wall, and I mean they let them play. Let both teams play.
I'd much rather watch them let them play than a whistle fest. Yeah. I don't think anybody loves whistle fests, and there's those games where a minute in you already know gonna be one of those nights. You know what I mean? Like there's already 3 foul calls in the first 2.5 minutes. You're like, okay, it's gonna be that kind of a night of basketball, but. Yeah, I mean, we've seen a little bit of all the different, ways the flows of the game can go. And in the Big 12, we've seen, it can get gunked up from time to time and get very, very physical and nasty down there. So I guess it's up to, each crew. But, overall, there's a lot more I like about the Big 12 and its basketball right now than, any sort of minor complaints over officiating.
One thing I do know is that if you're Baylor and you have maybe only 1 or 2 that can come off the bench, you want to let them play, and then again, that can wear you down with what you have as well. What a win for SMU. They're on a roll. They have Houston coming up this weekend. Tim Jankovich, their head basketball coach, joins us, SMU, on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Tim, you're playing well. I know you have the showdown, the rematch with Houston, who you beat earlier. Your thoughts about what your team's doing really well now and the run you're on. Thanks for your time today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. To get on a run, you got to be doing a lot of things well. And we, early in the year, we were weak in a few areas. We're trying to find ourselves. But in the run that we've been on, we've been pretty consistent defensively, holding our opponents to a fairly low field goal percentage, other than the Houston game, by the way, who shot 70% the first half, probably a Moody Coliseum record. But our defense has held most of the time. And on the other side of the ball, we've really learned to play together. We've learned each other's strengths and weaknesses, and we've been a pretty effective offensive team. So it's really, all the above. It's come together. We're a very small team, so rebounds are always an issue in our minds. But we've worked hard at trying to at least negate that disadvantage, and we've kind of neutralized the boards.
What is, when you play a team the second time after you guys played a classic 85-83 the first time, what are the benefits and the pitfalls of coaching up a team you're seeing the second time when you're trying to get your guys to focus and not think about the last time too much, but you want to think about it enough? Where's the balance there?
That's a great question. One thing I've learned over the years is a mistake is to watch the game that you played against an opponent before and think that the game that you're getting ready to play will be similar to that, or to think that, hey, this worked, so it's going to work next time, or this didn't work, so it won't work then. I think you can really overthink it. And I think you have to approach it as, look, we almost haven't played these guys. The one thing we will do is look at the things that we felt really hurt us. I mean, not just whether the ball went in or not, but you could tell that if maybe we got lucky on this play or that play, or the bounce went the right way, but really it should have hurt us worse than it did. So we'll try to look at that. But beyond that, I don't feel like games repeat themselves very often, and I think you have to approach it as a brand new game.
Coach, Kendrick Davis, I know, has been dealing with some injuries. You got him back in the lineup, and just how is that process here in Waco? We're seeing Baylor dealing with a lot of injuries, but just how's that process of kind of working with him, getting him healthy, and then to see him come out and do what he did when he's not necessarily always 100%? Just what kind of a player do you have there in Kendrick Davis?
Well, he's been a great player for us. He's had, he missed the game at Temple. He missed, practice, I don't know, for about a week, and then came back and exploded for 27 against Memphis. And then, as bad luck would have it, he was sick the day before the Tulsa game yesterday, and then didn't feel that great in that one. So he's had a run of bad luck and still managed to have some darn good games for us, and mainly because he's talented and mainly because he's a heck of a competitor. So, but it's always for every team. We've had our starting center season-ending injury. We had another guard go down, Zurich Phelps. I don't know how long he'll be out. Jalen Smith. All teams have that, and it's unfortunate. It's terrible for the young men who don't get to play, but also for your continuity. But we all deal with it, and luckily we have a pretty deep team this year, and so far we've been able to manage even when we have injuries.
You have Tristan Clark on your team, and we know Tristan. In fact, interviewed him soon after he went down. That changed really the personality of what Baylor started to do with their team that eventually won the national title. And then, of course, he had to sit out last year. Your thoughts? I know that at times you've got to kind of monitor his time. What has he done for you? Yeah.
Well, not even kind of monitor his time. We totally monitor the time. My heart goes out to him because I watched what a great player he was when he was totally healthy. And then I watched a guy retire from basketball, and, I can't imagine how depressing that was. And so when we had the opportunity to recruit him, I got to know him, know what he went through, and basically told him, look, I'm going to try to help you have the best year you're capable of. And he's he's been great. He plays very, very limited minutes in practice because he has to. And then we've had a couple games where he couldn't go. I want to say he's missed 2 or 3 games this year where he just couldn't play. And we're very sensitive to it. We allow him a lot of latitude, but he's still been a very effective player for us. He's an important part of the team, and even though he doesn't practice very much and he doesn't play near the minutes he used to play when he was healthy, he's still valuable for us.
That's a deep kid there. I mean, you talk to him, he's got emotions that run deep, and he is I love talking to Tristan. He's someone who, I mean, he's quiet, but when you get him going, he's got a lot to say.
No, and that's why I'm glad I got to know him as I did, because he's so quiet you could misread him. You could totally misread him. But in the recruiting process, I got to know his heart and kind of where he's coming from, and so that it makes it so much easier for me to not think twice about giving him as much latitude as we do. I want to do it, and he's been really good. He's been a great teammate too.
Coach, I don't know if you noticed or not, but there was a certain media member who talked about junior colleges here recently and created quite a buzz. His comments over junior colleges. You had experience at junior college level, obviously at Hutchinson there for a couple of seasons. How impactful was the junior college experience for you, and how important is it to the landscape of basketball?
Well, I hope it's always important, and I enjoyed my 2 years. I only did it for 2 years. I was at Hutchinson Junior College, and for me, I was back home in Kansas. I'm from Kansas, and I had a terrific experience. I had a terrific experience with the players, our staff, with the community. In fact, one of my players has been an assistant coach here for a number of years, KT Turner, who's now at Oklahoma. He was one of our players at Hutch, and I don't know. I'm positive on it. I think so many good things have come from it, and I think it's an important part of the basketball landscape, and I hope it continues to be.
That arena is something else. I've been up there for the Junior College National Tournament. That's almost as old school, but yet still just, man, I love that place. When I've been able to
get great?
It really, really is. It's kind of reminds me in a way. I was at Butler Fieldhouse in Indianapolis for the tournament last year a couple of different times, and I'm not trying to compare that because it's bigger. It's a big facility. They've renovated it, I think, a little bit, but it is absolutely it's an antique with class.
That's a great call. That is a great call. Butler Fieldhouse that's a good comparison. And it is. It's an antique. The national tournament's been played there for 1,000 years, it seems like. So there's been some incredible players and coaches come and go through that building, the national tournaments throughout the years. And it's a pretty cool place. It's special.
You have been attached to a lot of different schools that are a part of the Big 12 right now, including Baylor, that you were there for a year. Texas, Kansas State, among some others. We had Grant McCaslin on yesterday at North Texas. You were there. You've had your blood in a lot of different programs. How much were those experiences like for you as you continued through your career?
Well, I mean, I've been so lucky. I can't even tell you. If you'd have told me in my 20s that this was going to be the journey, that I was going to be lucky enough to have the experiences I've had, I would first of all say you're crazy, and second of all say I would give anything to have had that happen. And you mentioned the Big 12. Heck, I mean, I feel like I'm Mr. Big 12, for God's sake.
Yeah.
As many schools I've been. I played at K-State, coached at K-State, coached at KU, coached at Oklahoma State, coached at Texas, coached at Baylor. I think that's it. There might be more. There might be more, for God's sakes. I visited Iowa State out of high school. So, I mean, I don't know. I think we about got it covered. So, and I've also been lucky to work with amazing people, and I always, I don't know when it happened, but I always felt like I was the young coach. I was the youngest this, the youngest that. One day I looked up and go, wait a minute, you're old now. You're the old guy in the room all the time. But it's just, I mean, I just say I've just been so fortunate, and basketball has been a fantastic part of my life, and I just feel lucky.
SMU's been a great fit for you. And in the school, the athletic department, growing all the time and really, really getting better. And coaching, you never know when you're going to find that. What's that been like?
Well, when I got done playing in college, my plan A and B was to play in the NBA. Unfortunately, the NBA did not agree with my plan A or B, and my plan C was to go to a law school. And ironically, this is a long, long time ago, my school of choice was SMU Law School. And I was 3 weeks away from coming here. So, and then I got a job in Beverly Hills. I won't bore you with that. But my law school choice, I got to choose, was SMU. And I was literally, I'm telling you, I was a few weeks away because I've always loved Dallas and I've always loved SMU. I'm not exactly sure why, but I don't know. I fell in love with both when I've been down here years past. And then to fast forward and have the opportunity to come here and be the basketball coach, it's a great honor. I love the school. I love Dallas. This place is really amazing. It's special, and it's a great fit for me. I love the academic side. I love the beauty of the campus, and I love the location and the athletics programs has really taken off. They've put a lot into it over the last 10 or 15 years, and it's been great. I love it here.
So, Coach, you guys are squarely in the mix right there near the top of the American Conference. Houston, obviously, coming up on Sunday. Beat them just here earlier this month, and obviously that's a big game in terms of the standings as well. What's your sort of scouting report and focus with the Cougars coming up here in a few days?
Well, scouting report is pretty simple. They're great.
Yeah,
it's a real simple one-word scout. They are, and then they're greater at home. Yeah. They had a 37 win streak, I think, until Memphis beat it. Finally took them down. They are very, very, very hard to beat. They're a great team. Kelvin's a terrific coach. Yes, we beat them here, but beating them there will be 15 points harder than here. So we understand it. It's a great challenge. It's a great opportunity, but it will take an extreme effort on our part to get that job done.
You mentioned their winning streak at home and what they have done recently, but you got some things going too with 16 in a row, 14-0 start. It's obvious, right? You got to protect your home turf.
You do, and every coach talks about that. Every coach knows that. We have to win. We have to be great at home, and then sometimes you say the same things, but we have been. And knock on wood, we haven't lost this year at home, and we have 2 more home games, tough ones for sure. But that certainly helps your season if you can dial that in every year. It's a big advantage, and our crowds have helped us a lot. Our students have been tremendous. Once school started again, we hate it when school's out early January, but Moody's a fantastic place to watch a game, to play a game, and a lot of electricity, and our guys take great pride in not losing at home.
You won last night. Are you as happy as I was when I saw near the end of the game it got a little bit tense, but because of what we saw Sunday, how that at least calmed down, Tim, and everyone did what they should do and just kind of move on?
100%. No, good. 100%. I hated that it even remotely happened. But Frank was terrific. The Tulsa players were terrific. I thought our guys did a good job. Yes, cooler heads prevailed. I don't like any of that. I don't like any of what happened, lately. I was very glad, but very disappointed that we're even having to talk about it.
Yeah, I know. I because of the timing, I thought, thank God, because of what was talked about so much with men's basketball. How much fun is this right now to let you go? And we appreciate your time that sure. You guys are making this run, and who knows what might March bring.
Well, it's a lot of fun. It's simple in coaching or playing. Winning is fun. Losing, not fun. It's a very, very simple formula. There's really no in between. But there's pressure, especially in a league like ours. Like when you're on, and you mentioned, I've been in the Big 12, I coached in the SEC, coached in the Big 10. when you're in those leagues and hey, we could get ninth and still get in this tournament, there's just a luxury, and there's so much less pressure on every game. And undeservedly, our league, in my opinion, doesn't get near the respect it deserves come tournament time, selection time. And the fact that the number, as of right now, we're in second place. The number 2 team is not squarely in the tournament from the American is just mind-boggling to me. But it is the reality. So there's more pressure, and we're not the only team across the country in a league similar to ours that feels that. But it is fun to win. It's fun to have streaks, but there is pressure late in the year because it's so darn hard to make the tournament when you are not in a Power 5 conference. It is, and again, I've seen it on both sides, and this is not only from one side of perspective.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Congratulations on the win. Good luck this weekend. As you said, I know it's going to be a tough challenge, especially with you getting that win by 2 earlier on your home court. We appreciate it. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Good to have me. Appreciate that. Thanks to Herman Hudson for setting that up for us. SMU men's basketball coach Tim Jankovich with us on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. When we come back, Craig Smoak's off the radar. A couple of young men that we know drafted. 2 more we had yesterday, 2, and 2 more here a little after 5 o'clock in the USFL. We also have much more to get to, including Paul's top 5 in about a little over an hour. Emery Winter, Mackenzie Armstrong out again today. Thanks for their time and what they do behind the scenes to make us look good in front of the scenes, at least as much as they can. Sikkim 365 Radio. Pioneer Steel and Pipe since 1943. How about that? Business since 1943. We're talking about nearly 8 decades as they close in on 80 years very soon. As they are building a brand new facility in Waco that will allow them to do what they've done forever, except even now have more product and even better efficiency and distribution skills because they're going to build a tremendous facility, and it's been going on now for a while. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with heavy metal and steel, and they are incredible when it comes to metal buildings. They are experts at that. They can help you find a contractor. You hear that word, that will make sure the job is done well, done right, and not be held up throughout whatever goes on. They'll help you with that. They have heavy equipment. That's what they do. Things that you need when you build big structures, real estate or commercial. They'll not only deliver it, but unload it for you as well. 1943. Pioneer Steel and Pipe, pioneerboys.com.
You know what would make this moment better? Pizza. Dough made from scratch and an Italian family sauce recipe pizza. 3 fresh signature cheeses making a melty blanket of perfect pizza. Bob Mock has owned Marco's Pizza franchises since 2013 and has been delivering pizza since 2001 and is the proud owner of 4 locations in the Waco area, in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to be open in Robinson. Order at marcos.com to make any moment better. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Baylor Scott & White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injuries, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott & White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness continues to add more weapons to your getting or staying in shape arsenal with 8 brand new treadmills ready for you to run or walk a mile or 2 or 10. And with the explosion of interest in pickleball with instructors Joe Rosa and Jody Thurman with more courts available. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with large flat screens stretched across the weight room with Wi-Fi available, their own app to enjoy news, business, weather, or sports. Everywhere you look, there's energy, passion, and commitment. New touchless water fountains fountains outside of each locker room, and all the locker rooms with showers, sauna, and whirlpool. Upgraded PA system throughout the world-class tennis courts with a youth academy led by pro Britt Coleman. Fitness and tennis merchandise available and a tanning bed. I promise you'll look and feel better. You just need to walk through the front door. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
Payments for qualified buyers are 2.9% with $5,000 down cash or trade. TTN Electric, see dealer for details.
The New Year, New Ride sales event continues at Richard Carr. Find pre-owned deals like a 2015 GMC Acadia or a 2016 Honda Accord for $227 a month, or get a 2019 Ram Tradesman truck for $333 a month. Our vehicles go through a 172-point inspection. Get top dollar for your trade, and 100% approval is always the goal. Find your next car or truck today at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more. Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for Craig Smoak's Off the Radar. Brought to you by Pickup Outfitters. Since 1997, we've been outfitting trucks, SUVs, and vans at 220 Lake Air Drive or createacommotion.com.
All right, welcome into Off the Radar. Taking a look at a few stories from around sports that we might not otherwise get to, or at least spending a little bit more time talking about certain stories around sports. And we've got a mixed bag today, from some coaching hires that there's some connections to, or just names of interest, to the son of an NBA superstar who's well on his way to becoming a star in his own right, and much more. But let's start off with the hot rumor that I know you guys were very interested in our text message group. Troy Aikman could be on the verge of leaving Fox for ESPN's Monday Night Football. That report came out yesterday. Aikman, of course, with Fox for the longest time now, and partnered up with Joe Buck as their A-team there. He is in negotiations, Troy Aikman, to leave Fox and join ESPN to become the lead analyst on Monday Night Football. That, according to Andrew Marchand of the New York Post, who's like Mr. Media reporter in the sports world. The deal rumored to be thrown around right now is 5 years. And somewhere, Marchand says, in the neighborhood of Tony Romo's $17.5 million per year contract. Tony Romo makes $17.5 million.
I knew he was paid well, but when I saw that number last night, I was like, oh my God.
What?
And you know what? You earn or get what apparently is the value according to sponsors and audience and your employer.
You do. But man, that's seems like, I mean, I know the NFL makes big money, but I don't know. Where are you guys on Romo as a broadcaster at this point?
I enjoy him. I do. I think that sometimes he might be a little bit too excited.
Yes.
But I do like that too. Granted, and I'm constantly comparing him to his predecessor, Phil Simms, who,
was the opposite?
Was the exact opposite. I'd rather listen to monks chanting than him analyze a game. So
he can get a little bit overzealous at times, but I have no problem with him. I never was a big Tony Romo fan as a player, well, mainly because I love the team that he used to beat a lot, but they got him a few times too. He's good. he can at times be a little bit overmodulated, but hell, so am I.
Yeah,
and I admit that.
Sometimes he's like a kid who's on a sugar rush.
Yeah, no,
and you're like,
just
calm down a little bit, and you'd be good. But you're just like, you just had that Snickers bar, and you can't like
he's
stop
like,
rattling.
Oh boy, Jim.
Yeah,
boy.
Exactly.
And he gets there, but
would you rather have that though than a stump in the log?
Oh yeah, I mean, look, and I prefer him to Chris Collinsworth. I prefer him to most. I like Tony Romo. I don't mind it. I think that he and Nance balance each other out really well.
There's also been a lot of rumors, of course, about Al Michaels and ESPN and what that could potentially look like, him moving over there. According to Marchand's report, Amazon was also in talks with Aikman, and so they're going to be heavily involved moving forward. They're about to be the exclusive Thursday Night Football home and streamer, so they apparently talked to him. And Amazon apparently is still talking to Al Michaels as well, so we will see. Aikman's been at Fox for 20 years. I mean, it's been 2 decades of him calling games, and he's been calling games with Joe Buck since 2002.
Yeah, I think that part of this is, Eggman has that new beer out. He's kind of branching out a little bit. ESPN maybe provides you a little bit better opportunity to do that than Fox. Now, he won't get to do Super Bowls because they're not in that rotation. He won't.
Is there a new deal? What about ABC?
Maybe there is. Maybe is. But I don't know. But that he won't get to do as many really good games unless the NFL changes its policy on scheduling Monday nighters.
Yeah.
Which, it's about 50-50.
There are more games in their newest deal. And I did look at that, and I because I wondered, would he get stuck where no one can, because Monday Night Football used to be it.
Well, because of Thursday night.
I know that was Cosell, Meredith, whatever.
Well, because of Thursday night, now it's kind of split up to where Monday night doesn't have as many just out and out, Jacksonville versus Houston duds that it kind of used to. But yeah, I mean, it's going to change. Now, I'm as a Cowboys fan from the 90s, Troy Aikman could ask me to help him commit a crime, and I probably would.
Yeah.
But I've always enjoyed his analysis. He pulls no punches.
Monday night games, Paul, can be flexed. Mm-hmm. And the contract starts in 2023, so they can now be flexed.
Yeah, well,
that's not been the case.
Yeah, so that's good news for that, and that's why he would go there. I know a lot of people don't like Troy Aikman because he is very frank about things.
And let's be honest, where we are, and Craig, I hope we're not derailing your stuff, but where we are in Texas, he's a Cowboys legend. He's a 3-time Super Bowl champion, and I think sometimes Cowboys fans feel like he's too harsh. I think that's the greatest compliment of all, that he's going to just tell you how he feels.
So some candidates to replace him if he leaves Fox, according to Marchand. You got former Panthers tight end Greg Olsen, Sean Payton, now that he is no longer on the sidelines for the New Orleans Saints. That was another name mentioned. He also talked about maybe working a trade for Drew Brees, like a network trade. So there's a ton of different possibilities of the directions that all these networks could go. But obviously Monday Night Football has been a revolving door. I mean, they have not been able to stick with a crew.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know what that means for Louis Riddick or Brian Greasy, because they were in the booth this last year.
Steve Levy. Yeah. Is that right?
Yeah. But, does it become Al Michaels and Aikman? I don't know. But Aikman is leaving Fox and apparently could be joining ESPN's Monday Night Football.
ABC has the Super Bowl in 2026 and again in 2030.
All right. So that would be Aikman.
Well, you would. Yeah. Okay.
All right, elsewhere going on today, Jaden Daniels, former Arizona State quarterback, there was a report by a Missouri fan site that Jaden Daniels had committed to Missouri, but he did respond on Twitter and say that those reports are not accurate. So as of right now, he remains uncommitted. Could very well end up at Missouri when all is said and done. Maybe that's just an early leaking of a report, but as of right now, Jaden Daniels, a denial on Twitter that he is committed to Missouri, so just updating that. The city of Las Vegas, is it on its way to becoming the next sports franchise powerhouse and having a team in every single league? They got the Las Vegas Raiders, so they checked the NFL box. Before that, obviously, their maiden voyage was the Las Vegas Golden Knights in the NHL.
Yep.
Basketball, there's been lots of talk about the NBA eventually planting roots in Las Vegas, and why not? They have their summer league there. Obviously, it's a very NBA city. And so, there's a lot of talk about that. So they've got the NHL, they've got the NFL. They're probably going to get the NBA at some point. they're actually in the workings for an expansion MLS team as well, and that's kind of on the tracks right now and could happen much sooner rather than later. But the big reason why I bring it up is because while they are likely to have the NBA and MLS relatively, soon in the future, they are very close, it appears, to maybe landing the Oakland A's and bringing them to Las Vegas to give them 3 of the major 4 sports. The Oakland A's, of course, have been an absolute dumpster fire, and that's the best way to really talk about their stadium as well. That's the big hang-up, is the Oakland A's stadium. Apparently, the A's organization has exchanged term sheets on at least 4 different plots of land in southern Nevada, where they are eyeing building a $1 billion Major League Baseball park. Team representative who confirmed the number in the Las Vegas Review-Journal noted the A's are in active negotiations with landowners of all 4 sites. So just a little bit of momentum building for the A's to potentially be uprooting. There's been long talks about it. Obviously, everybody's been leaving Oakland. The Warriors left for a journey across the bay to San Fran. The Raiders left for the sunny skies of Vegas, and now Oakland might just be the launching pad for Las Vegas pro sports. Quite frankly,
I think that. I hate to say it because you'd hate for the fans in Oakland to lose yet another team.
They'd be without anybody.
They'd be without anybody. But the bottom line is that not ever going to get improved at the Coliseum. It's terrible. Smoak, you ever been to the Coliseum?
One time I did. It's terrible. Look, I went there in 2010-ish, maybe 2011, and it was bad then. It's bad now. You probably went there before 2010 or so. It wasn't good ever. It's a big cement block of nothing. It's not in a great neighborhood. All these bad things about it. So it's just probably time for them to leave. And it stinks to the people in Oakland. I really hate it for them, but. A lot of people are leaving the Bay Area for a lot of different reasons.
The A's won 3 straight World Series titles. The Raiders had their great run, and
but I also credit the people of Oakland, for not bending over to the will
of
billionaires and going, we'll pay for a stadium, because they've done that before and it hasn't worked out.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk. I think there's some politicians discussing legislation over banning. Teams being able to basically tax the communities to build their stadiums. I don't know if y'all saw that, but I know there's been discussion about that before, but putting in some type of a rule where, you can't build your $1 billion stadium off the backs of the citizens, especially when you're already billionaires in most cases. It's kind of silly that you would be paying for a stadium that you've got enough money to pay for just because you can take it from the people who don't really have it. But the Oakland mayor, Libby Schaaf, says that they've been working on different ideas for the A's and different proposals. And here recently, they actually felt like they had a little bit of momentum, voting 6-2 to certify the final environmental impact report, which would pave the way for a binding financial agreement between Oakland and the A's organization. That could happen this summer. But there's also a lot of other boxes to check, and I don't know, man. It just feels like it's inevitable, quite frankly. Maybe the city of Oakland pulls off a Hail Mary and get their ducks in a row and get this thing built, but they've been talking about it for years and years and years to no avail. So
Las Vegas and Nashville are the next 2 big pro sports cities.
I mean, Vegas is going to get MLS. That's almost guaranteed. That would leave them with NBA and MLB if you want to count like the big 5. Do we need to go?
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
All right. Well, let me backtrack there. So you got the A's, and how about LeBron James, his son, Bronny? You guys really seen much of Bronny? I mean, it's not like he's on TV all the time. So he's mostly social media. You would definitely see him.
Yeah, I know of him.
Yeah, he's a very good basketball player. Well, there's been a lot of talk on LeBron's side. LeBron basically said, I think it was the other day, if you want me on your team, draft Bronny. Because he's made it clear that he would love to play with his son before his NBA career is done, and still a little bit of time for that to happen. But LeBron's talked about it, and one thing you can say about Bronny, his son, is that he's definitely got the business ties of his old man, as he has now become a brand ambassador for PSD underwear, a brand that also includes NBA players like Ja Morant and Trae Young and Tyler Hero and Jimmy Butler. James is just a junior right now in high school at Sierra Canyon in the LA suburbs, and this is his first name, image, and likeness deal. He's got over 6 million Instagram followers. So he's got a massive following on social media. He already posted up a picture of him with the boxers for the PSD underwear brand. But he's a guy that a lot of NIL companies are looking at strongly. Obviously, the connections to his father, but also social media following. And On3, who tracks a lot of this NIL stuff, they are projecting Bronny James to make $5+ million in NIL money before his high school career is over. Not before his college career, which he's probably not even going to have a college career. Before his high school career is over, they're expecting him to make $5 million+ in NIL deals.
Hey, you know, if I was a high school kid and I had a chance to do that, I'd take it very good for him.
Of course.
And I don't think he's that highly rated as a high school player. I think I might say that. He's one of the top 50 to 75 rated players in high school. Now, whether or not NBA immediately or whatever's going to happen with that, I don't know what the stories are. But
I bet you he goes to the
G League,
the G League developmental program, and does that, and then whoever he gets drafted by, whatever random team that is, and I'm sure everybody's hoping it's their team, but that's where LeBron James will play his last year.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's looking like. So, yeah, he's a combo guard at Sierra Canyon. I just looked him up on one of the sites. 247 has him as a 4-star. It's kind of odd, though, and I know he's got a couple years remaining, but you see the write-up on his NIL deal, and you're like, teams like Kansas and Kentucky and blah, blah, blah are all at him, and then I look at his page, and he doesn't have an offer from any one of those schools, so maybe those are coming. I don't know. But, yeah, he's a good player. I don't know what his NBA, heights are or his ceiling is as far as that goes, but I know he's very popular, and yeah, he's now in the NIL game with his first deal and is expected to make a lot of money off of that. And I'll close it out with this, just a couple of personnel type of notes. Ken Norton Jr. coming back to UCLA. He will be replacing linebackers coach Don Pelham, who was with the Pac-12 for like 30-plus years. And he will be back in the what are the official school colors? Baby blue and gold? Or probably a more formal name than that, right, for UCLA? It's not just baby blue and gold, is it?
It's not powder blue, is it?
Powder blue, maybe? I don't know. Off the top of my head, I don't know why I asked the question. It's beautiful pretty colors, yeah. But Ken Norton Jr. is going to be back in those as a member of the UCLA staff, and he will be joined by Brian Norwood, former Baylor assistant coach. He apparently agreed to terms on a new contract through 2023, so through the next couple of seasons today. That according to On3. So we knew Brian Norwood, and obviously his son Levi played at Baylor for a long time, so he's sticking around in Los Angeles, and now will be joined by Ken Norton Jr., and those are just a few things that are off the radar.
I know you'd like to go longer, and we would too. In fact, we had a couple of comments about the segments we have that are Craig Tuesday, Thursday, off the radar, Paul's top fives, and some of the other things we do, and we appreciate you and the feedback. We don't know sometimes if you don't tell us, and I know some of you will tell us things we sometimes don't want to hear. But thank you very much, Craig. All right, appreciate that. When we come back, Larry Rose III, young man who set records at New Mexico State. He's a part of the USFL. Then Orion Stewart, what a personality he is, former Midway High School and Baylor player. And they have been drafted into the USFL, and they're next on Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports. My brother Philip sent a text to the brother group. We have a little text group going on. He sent a picture from his condo on the east coast of Florida, which is a spectacular place. A Perez Carrillo. He goes, I thought I'd give this piece of trash a whirl. He, of course, was joking. My brother Philip, who's incredible, was about to smoke a cigar, and I was like, wow. In fact, I said, damn. My older brother Robert loves to smoke cigars. So does Michael, my other oldest brother. And when we get together once a year, we enjoy just sitting around and talking and sharing stories and enjoying life. But Don Humidor here in Waco can help you get the great cigars. That's where I go. Macanudo and Ashton, Arturo Fuente, and Rocky Patel. Those are my favorites, but there are so many, including Padron and Cohiba. And, of course, my father, a part of one of the best, fastest-growing cigars. Depending on which one you want, my father, Nicaragua, it's a great brand. It's a great cigar, and they have so many in the 48-foot walk-in humidor. If you smoke cigars, Don's Humidor and coffee beans, that's the place to go. And if you like coffee, they have fresh ground, if you want them ground in front of you, or fresh coffee beans for you to do it yourself when you get home. And CBD product and more. It's Don Humidor and Coffee Beans. Tell Carol, Ashley, and Cheyenne Smokey sent you. Townwood Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
This is your 54th District Judge, Susan Kelly. Appointed to the court by Governor Greg Abbott, I've worked hard to manage and move the docket, even during COVID. Board certified in criminal law by the Texas Board of Legal Specialization and past president of the Waco Bar Association, you can be sure I apply the rule of law and deliver justice for all. Early voting starts February 14th, so be my Valentine and vote for justice. Keep Judge Kelly.
Political ad paid for by Susan Kelly from McLennan County Judge Campaign.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
It's plain and simple. Waco Custom Marketplace is the one-stop shop for what you need for tailgating, from charcoal, cold beer, and wine. And, of course, customize your order with brisket, tri-tip, sausage, wings, smoked pork tenderloin, country-style or pork spare ribs, marinated beef and chicken fajita meat, ground beef and chili, meat, hot dogs, and burgers, buns, seasoning, sauces, chips. There's fresh baked bread and kolaches every day, breakfast sausage links, and you can also customize your favorite cut of steaks from select, choice, or prime, bacon wrap fillets, ribeyes, New York strips, sirloin, T-bone, and porterhouse. Full service butcher shop includes pork, poultry, beef, chicken, and seafood, serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Rose redirecting, now breaking it out. What a run for Rose to the 5 to the end zone.
The 5 o'clock hour is brought to you by Edward Jones and financial advisor Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Larry Rose III, Fairfield High School, a record-breaking running back there, a record-breaking running back at New Mexico State. Had a chance in the NFL with the Titans and the Rams, CFL as well with Winnipeg, and has been on a couple of other teams professionally. Joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio, drafted by the New Orleans Breakers. Former Baylor offensive coordinator Larry Fedora runs that team, and he joins us, Larry Rose III. What does getting this opportunity, and great to have you, young man, what does it mean to you?
It means a lot. It means a lot. I first and foremost, I just thank God for the opportunity. I think this go round means more to me than any other go round, because being away from the game for 2 years and getting the opportunity to come back and get back on the football field, that's something that I don't take lightly. So I'm very ecstatic about this time around.
So, what kind of shape you in? Have you been keeping up for this and just waiting for this opportunity?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm in shape. I'm good. I'll be ready to go come training camp. So I'm ecstatic. I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm ready to play some ball.
Larry, how much did you realize? I mean, I'm sure you always knew that you loved the game of football, but how much did you realize you loved it when it was kind of taken away from you there for a little while?
That's when it really hits you. You play your whole life. You play your whole life ever since I was a kid, 5 years old, 6 years old, been playing football, and then for it to abruptly come to a halt, especially with the COVID scenario, for it to just come to a halt like it did, man, it really puts things into a perspective that you can't take anything for granted, because at any given moment it could be over with, And I honestly feel like I still have a lot that that a lot of people haven't seen of me, And one thing I want to be able to do is show the world. So to not be able to touch the football field and feel like, man, there's still a lot that nobody got to see of me. A lot of people that still don't know my name for what God's blessed me to be able to do. It's like, man, like I say, this go around, I'm just ready to go. It's go time, and I'm ecstatic.
You still have that speed, that glide that you did when we watched you in high school, and what you did. I mean, is it still kind of that magical electric slide and glide?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's still there. It's still there. I feel like as long as God got me on this earth, it'll be there, because that's what He blessed me with.
Larry, you obviously had a record-breaking career in high school and also in college as well. Larry Fedora is your coach. Zach Smith, former Tulsa quarterback, is on the team, and much more. What have they told you? I know that the season starts at the middle of April. Camp will start here pretty soon. What's the timeline for you?
From my understanding, we're going to start training camp on March the 21st, and then have a season opener on April 16th. And I talked to Coach Fedora, man, and he told me that he's just ready to get to work. He said he was watching my film. He was breaking me down leading up to the draft. He said he really liked what he saw, and he said he couldn't wait to get to work and get me rolling in that offense.
Larry Rose III, former Fairfield High School All-State, took his team to a state championship right there on the verge in a shootout, falling just short in the state championship final at AT&T Stadium as well. So what have you done? You said he's been out of football. I know COVID also wrecked a few things for things and schedules and leagues and all that. There's a few that sprouted up that never worked out. What have you been doing to kind of just make some money on the side?
Man, I actually after COVID came and the XFL came to an end, I was working a regular job at a hotel security for a little bit. And then I was like, man, I got to find something else to do. And I actually ended up going to get my CDL. So currently I'm actually out on the road. I'm all the way out in Indianapolis, Indiana. And I'm headed home. Actually, about to catch a flight here shortly after this interview. But I was actually on the road when I got the call that I was drafted. So that's what I've been doing, man. I got my CDL, and I've just been out here driving, trying to make a living for myself.
Well, I'm glad you're safe, and be careful on the way back. Obviously, Texas is cold, chilly, nasty, and icy in some cases. Larry Rose III, can't wait.
Happy for you, man.
Yeah, we're very thrilled for you. And we will be in touch. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Sounds good. Thank y'all.
Larry Rose III, he was at Fairfield High School. John Bechtel was the head coach, the son of Coach Bechtel, who was at Midway. For those of you who are on nationally, that's a school, Fairfield, just a little bit east of Waco. And he exploded on the scene. He was really good. His senior year, they went all the way to a state championship game, and I think it might have been Argyle that they lost to. Is one of the year in and year out really good programs. I can't remember exactly who it was, but he then went on and had a fantastic over 4,500 yards at New Mexico State. And so we've always kept up with Larry Rose III, and this young man too. He's hard to find at times, but my God, he's part of the family. Orion Stewart, former Baylor defensive back, Midway defensive back on Sikkim 365 Radio. Young man, it's great to have you on the show. I know you're about to work out. We don't want to keep you from that. What does this mean? You have been around. You have had your opportunities, and sometimes they haven't worked out. So what does it mean to have another chance to knock on the door?
I mean, it's just another opportunity, you know what I'm saying, that I was blessed to have. So you got to make the most of the opportunities. They don't always last, you know what I'm saying? They don't always come around, so make the most of it.
You're going to Michigan. You're going to play for Jeff Fisher, who coached in the Super Bowl and came about as close to winning one without as anybody with Kevin Dyson. So what do you know about the Michigan Panthers so far, and what you're going to be doing?
Honestly, I'm trying to find out everything myself. I don't know too much, but I will be finding out very, very, very soon.
Orion, just how much has obviously you're back to playing football, you're going to be back to playing football, but just how much has the last few years kind of being in and out of the game, how much did you realize that you love the game, and how hard has that been to not be able to just kind of plant your roots somewhere and just play the game that you love?
That's been very difficult, you know what I'm saying? Just having having the mental toughness to get up every day and make sure that you're still ready when you never know when that call comes. That call is going to come, and if it ever is going to come. So that's why I say, thankful I'm blessed for another opportunity and just got to take advantage and make the most of it.
Kids grow up, whether they want to play pro sports, they want to get, be a star, whether it's in entertainment business, athletics, or whatever. And you were really good. Fantastic player at Baylor, incredible player at Midway as well. So you have a chance to live the dream of the NFL. But then you have to go back and forth to different teams, and you're there for a day or a week or whatever. Can you try to explain how hard that was?
Man, I don't even know how to necessarily put it into words. Like I say, you just kind of sometimes you gotta roll with the punches and put one foot in front of the next every day and just keep going.
Orion Stewart, now a part of the USFL's Michigan Panthers, with us on Sikkim 365 Radio.
Orion, you're going to be joined by Jamison Houston there with the Panthers. Have you had an opportunity to talk to him or reach out either way to have the idea that there's going to be a couple Baylor players playing together again?
Yeah, he called me. He called me the same day that I got drafted, and I got to chop it up with him for a little bit. So that'll be a comfortable situation, being around somebody that especially in the secondary. So I'll be looking forward to playing with him.
And Zach Smith too, right?
Yeah.
In Michigan.
No, he's going to He's going to New Orleans.
Sorry, yeah. So,
he reached out to me too, saying he was ready to light me up like he used to do at Baylor.
Is that true, Orion? That he used to light you up?
I think y'all was around quite a bit. I don't know. Y'all tell me.
It's classic Orion right there.
Yes.
That's what I love.
We have asked different players, depending on what era they've been at Baylor. Of course, the last 10 or 12 years, from Coach Bryles to what, Jim Grope for the 1 year, to then Matt Rule.
Shout out to Coach Bryles.
Yeah.
Shout out to Coach Bryles, too. Let me say that, too, since you said that.
I was going to ask you about your former head coach and the opportunity to get back into college coaching at Grambling State.
I'm very, very excited for him about that. I actually haven't talked to him in a while. I do plan on reaching out and telling him congratulations. But, I know, they crucified. He was very, very crucified. But I just, that's a man that gave me an opportunity that a lot of people in his lifetime haven't. So it's kind of hard for me to have a lot of feelings towards him.
So what have you noticed as someone, and how often have you kept up with Baylor since you were gone and watched their development and turn into a hellacious defensive team?
Man, Baylor has from even my senior year when we kind of started going downhill a little bit, man, to see what they're doing now, man, to the Big 12 championship, all these players get invited to the Senior Bowl and to the Combine. Man, that's what Baylor is. That's what Baylor is back to being what we are known to be. Well, I guess we wasn't necessarily known to be that for all my life, but
you helped start to make it that way, though.
You guys, you know what? When Phil Bennett arrived, I think Coach Browse probably whispered, "Hey, just get us a stop once a half," and then it became where you won games playing that defense and goal line stands and all of that. At least you kind of set the tone.
A lot of people say that we didn't have that good of a defense, but if you go to look at different stats, it would say otherwise. I think we created a lot of turnovers and stuff as well.
I would think points per possession, you guys were really high, especially given that most of your games, you've got your offense and then another offense that's similar to yours.
Running 90 plays.
Yeah. So, you guys, people look at it through a certain lens, Ryan, but sometimes they're looking at it through teams that ran the ball 50 times a game. And
we played over 100 plays just on defense.
Mm-hmm. I know.
And Phil Bennett didn't like to substitute, did he?
I don't know how many red breaks I
got. You made some plays in your career at Baylor, but I want to bring up one, and I wonder if you still think this might have been as big a play as you made. And I know at Baylor it's a bigger deal, but do you remember, was it Denton Ryan? Was that the game where you picked off a pass and ran it back for a touchdown in that game against Denton Ryan? Was that who it was against?
Correct. My senior year of high school, third round.
About a 30-yard interception return for a touchdown against a team that was obviously, Midway was great with Terry Gamble, but I always remember that play. When I think about you, with all due respect to anything else you've done, that's always, for some reason, the first play that comes to mind for me.
Why is that play so iconic for you?
I don't know. It's because it was one for you. It's kind of like, not that you weren't already a guy that everyone knew, but it was such a big play that you made, and I was probably, because I know that things haven't always been easy for you, that I was proud of you making that play at that moment and kind of all of a sudden saying, hey, here I am.
Yeah, I think that it was one of the moments that kind of started turning a few more heads for me for the colleges anyways.
Phil Bennett once said about you, and I know you got to get the workout. We're killing you on your workout. He said that a lot of people were kind of overlooking you, but he wanted you, didn't he? He wanted you to come play safety for Bay. There was something about you, and I know you guys probably had butted heads so many times, but he wanted you to come play for Baylor, and a lot of people were overlooking you.
Yep, that's right. I don't know what it was, why people overlooked me, I guess. I played a lot of basketball in high school, too. I thought I was a basketball player, so maybe that was the reason, but things always end up, working out.
Well, go work out. Yep, go work out, man. Anything else, Craig, for Ryan?
No, Ryan, just happy for you, man. Happy that you're getting the opportunity, and wishing you nothing but health and a lot of success in the new USFL.
Oh yeah, I sure appreciate it, man.
Well, Ryan Stewart, good to have him on. Another young man that has a chance to get his college football career back into the NFL. You've been a part. I want to tell you this timeline. I know we got to go, Paul. Here's a timeline.
Which means that we're not going to go.
No, I know. And I'm going to lose the bet that Jack put on before the show. This is not a way. I want you to think about this. You want to be a part of the NFL. Orion Stewart in 2017, signed by Denver in May, cut in September. Picked up by Buffalo 3 days later, cut a month later. Picked up by Washington 5 weeks later, cut 3 weeks later. Picked up by Washington again a week later, cut 2 weeks later at the end of the season. Picked up by Washington in the offseason in April, cut 3 days later. Picked up by the Giants 2 weeks later, waived by them right before the start of the 2018 season. Picked up by Tampa Bay in the offseason in April, waived at the end of training camp. Now, Orion Stewart's a tremendous talent, but he also, and if we had more time, he had to grow up. He had some things where he had to kind of become accountable. But he's just one of those guys. You're just glad he's been able to kind of get through what was tough when he was younger. And I'll say this, and Paul, you mentioned this before. One person who had a tremendous influence that he was scared of, not only was it Phil Bennett, the respect he had for Coach Browse, was Kim Mulkey.
Oh, yeah.
Former Baylor women's basketball coach that she would kind of like one of those where she'd grab him by the ear and, you know.
Yeah, he and Kramer are really good friends. And
her son Kramer, the baseball player.
So, it was, I remember talking to Coach Kim one time and saying, like, hey, tell me about Orion. And she's like, if he just get his head out of his ass.
Yeah, I know.
And that was just him being youthful.
Yeah.
And immature, but he and
a little
rambunctious. But I'll tell you, there's nobody that you've seen, like I've seen, grow up like steps. And look, this journey through the NFL could break a lot of people. I mean, it could break you, but he kept going, and he was in the AAF, and he's done all these other things. So yeah, I'm really proud of Orion and happy for him, and hope that I want these other leagues to work out. I mean, because there's football players that could make a nice living, playing professional football. It's not the NFL. It's tough.
I agree. I think we all, and we get to know him, and yeah, sometimes we're fooled, and sometimes we're naive. He's kind of someone I've always rooted for. By the way, David McCormick of Kansas, Bill Self saying that he has re-aggravated his foot and is kind of iffy on whether or not
that would be. Him not playing would, look, Kansas is really good, but not having McCormick would help a huge matchup issue that Baylor will have if he's there and playing well, and he always plays well against Baylor.
Self saying that rest could take place during the Big 12 tournament, probably not tomorrow, Saturday against Baylor. They have plenty. Remy Martin is closer to coming back. Of course, Baylor-Kansas game day, and then the game Saturday night here in Waco. And we're back with more. The final 30 minutes, Paul's Top 5, much more. Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So, let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm, welcome home.
Brad Boozer's Jeweler, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. I've seen people walk in there. First of all, you have so much to show, whether necklaces, bracelets, rings. You have the watches. You have numerous great watches as well. You really have pretty much everything, don't you, when it comes to jewelry?
That's correct. Kind of a one-stop shop and all. And the fact that we have the 2 jewelers on staff, the repairs we can do, the fixing of your jewelry, and the remaking of any jewelry has really set us apart from anybody else.
You want to know why they're successful? Brad Boozer, the owner of Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air in Waco.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to open in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The Sikkim 365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
All right, Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Been over the headlines today. We've had Bob Bowlsby today, Jay Billis today. We have more to come tomorrow.
Hey, Georgia, back off Eric Mateos. Back off.
Well, yeah, he loves Waco.
He does, but I mean, I love a lot of different places too. You know, I don't know if Georgia has a key candidate in mind, or if the 3 that were mentioned, and I don't know who had that original report, so I'm sorry, but you know, he was one of 3 names mentioned. Football Scoop, okay. So it was one of 3 names that they mentioned, and it makes sense. I just cannot believe that I actually clicked on a tweet from a Georgia fan that was responding, and they were like, Mateos, we can do so much better. And I was like, did you watch college football this year? Because, dude, that is red flag. That is a major red flag that you would make that kind of a comment about Eric Mateos coming off the year that Baylor football just had with him as O-line coach. Like, that is the most uneducated opinion ever. Now, maybe you want to shoot your sights on, like, an NFL star or something like that. I don't know. But if I'm a fan and Eric Mateos is coaching my O-line, I know I am in good hands. And I am not going to fret over who the other guy could be. If I get Eric Mateos, I'm happy. And, you know, I hope he sticks around in Waco. Don't, you know, and it's like anything else. You get your name mentioned on Twitter. Doesn't always result in anything or mean anything. But I'm not surprised like that he would be a candidate. No. You could tell me Alabama was looking at him, and I'd believe that. But, shoot, Georgia's the national champ, so that's team number 1 right now. And if they're looking at your O-line coach, well, you know, I don't know what the outcome will be, but that's as big of a compliment as you can get.
He's not leaving, Paul.
I hope not. And
I mean, when I say that, he loves Waco. And remember what we heard, and I'm going to use the same scenario. And I feel good about saying this, that this is Dave Aranda. Eric Mateo's out there. I mean, I love him. He's really good on Twitter as well. But I do feel like this is an incredible compliment that will get a lot of traction, as it should. We're talking about it. He's a hell of a coach, but he's not going to Georgia now. Would a lot of people, would he be thrilled and maybe even involved? Sure, but I just don't think he's done. You mentioned you think he still needs another bump, the next bump.
Here's the thing about where, and people may not realize this about Baylor, but nationally, but given the fact that they just won the Sugar Bowl, Dave Aranda has decided to stay here. The Big 12 Conference is about to change, and the two premier programs as far as prestige are leaving, one of whom is really good currently, and one of them who hasn't been good in a while, but Oklahoma's leaving this league. It's now wide open. And it was wide open this year with Oklahoma in it. And so the future is wide open for the Big 12. And Baylor's positioned to be one of the top 3 programs in it. So being the offensive line coach at Baylor is not much worse than it is being the offensive line coach most anywhere else. And I realize that Georgia being a national champ is definitely a step up. But, sometimes going just to go, the money isn't gonna really be the thing. To me, if I'm Eric Mateos, I would say, since you've been an offensive line coach at a couple different places, he's clearly going to he's got a coordinator mind. He's going to be a coordinator somewhere and then probably a head coach if he wants to be. So if I were him, I would maybe hold up for a coordinator job. It would make sense if that's what he was waiting for. And Jeff Grimes is probably going to get a head coaching job in the next year or two as well, which opens you up to other opportunities, here, or maybe even being his offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I don't want to pretend to know any of Eric Mateos' motivation. I don't know him. So, I know him. I don't know him personally, so I don't pretend like I know his motivations at all. But, that was a big deal getting all the linemen back that they got back. I mean, all of those guys are coming back. The only one moving on is Xavier Newman-Johnson, and that's simply because he's out of eligibility. So, he went and took part in an all-star game and will not be going to the combine, but we'll have an opportunity at Baylor Pro Day in the next few weeks to raise his stock a little bit and hopefully get, maybe late draft pick or even undrafted free agent. But yeah, I mean, everybody else is coming back, so they'll be loaded for bear, no pun intended. And, I hope he's around for a while. I like him. Haven't really got to interact at all because, we've been pretty much separated for like 2 years from this coaching staff when you really think about it. But still, I'm a big fan of he and Grimes and really all the coaches they have right now. And I look forward to getting to hear from some of the newer ones as well that were added this offseason. But yeah, it's a compliment. If anything else, we'll see. Nothing comes of it or whatever, but he's a great coach.
By the way, Matt Tate, who will join us, he covers Kansas, and he does a great job with it. We've had him on a lot because Kansas is important with what they are leading the Big 12 and the fact that they play Baylor again on Saturday. He mentioned the David McCormick and also then Remy Martin. Bill Self had mentioned he had not talked to him since their game with Kansas State a couple of nights ago, but that he thinks Martin might have been able to practice today. And that's, again, it's kind of like Baylor had a player come back and then somebody else got hurt. McCormick might be out, and here comes Remy Martin, although not probably in great shape or conditioning, but he's been able to come back. Bill Self said that Svi, and I think it's Michalik, of the Kansas basketball team, and if I'm butchering that name, Mahalik, said that he told Coach Self that his parents, who were in the Ukraine, were safe, and he was hoping to get them out of there soon.
I gotta say, it's wild. And what's funny to me is everybody acting like this is brand new, like war in real time in the social media era. There's been plenty of wars going on. Mm-hmm. It's just not wars that we've cared about. Yeah. So this is not like exactly brand new, but being a war that a lot more people seem to be interested in and caring about, it is wild to live in a time where you can go onto social media and see clips of a war in real time. Mm-hmm. Like, that is just nuts. That is really crazy. And so, yeah, definitely some tense times, I would imagine, for that young man and his family. So best wishes to them that they end up okay when all is said and done.
Interviewed him a couple years ago at the Big 12 tournament. He's great.
Who?
Svi Mahal.
Oh, you did?
I did. Yeah. It was one of those times where Baylor had lost and I was going to be there for 2 more days. So I'm like, well, might as well get some content.
What? You were in Kansas City. You would have stayed there for 9 more days.
Yeah, I mean, still, but
my God. No, that's good. I'm glad. Here's one of the note. Let's see. I was going to mention
Doug Williams.
Yeah, Doug Williams. So Doug Williams, one of, if not the greatest player to ever come out of Grambling, and they've funneled some talent, no question, to the National Football League. The reporter in the Washington Post had a chance to contact former Super Bowl champion, former Grambling great Hall of Famer Doug Williams. Asked him about the hiring of Art Briles to Grambling. I'm not a fan at all. I'm very, very disappointed in Grambling. I really am. I talked to the AD a couple of times. They knew where I stood, but they did it. And if that's what they want to do, that's fine. I'm out. He has always been a tremendous supporter of Grambling. I can't get to all the quotes because it's a paid site, but one of the other quotes that's put in here from the reporter is, I know Shaq, James Harris, another former Grambling great, is not a fan, and I'm not a fan at all. I can't condone it. When asked if he would support Grambling, Williams said, "Oh, no, I can't do that. No. If I support them, I condone it. I really wish, and again, some of you can hammer away, it would be nice if Doug Williams had a chance, and he may not want to visit with Art Briles, whether that's good or not. I don't care. But Hugh Jackson hired him, tried to hire him in Cleveland. Here's one more thing. Go ahead. You were going to add something to it.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to ask, and this is not an apples-to-apples comparison, I realize that, but it's when I hear people strike so strongly on one thing, and then, you kind of look at, okay, what else is going on? Who does Doug Williams work for?
Dan Snyder.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was brought up, and that's what I was going to go to next. This is a man who's loyal to Washington owner, who's under all sorts of allegations and pressure and dark clouds, and Dan Snyder. He didn't play for Snyder. He played back when the great Jack Kent Cook, Joe Gibbs was the head coach.
He just cashes a check
but he gets a check, and we have to blast Phil Mickelson or whoever else we want about, when would you turn your head if you can get a check? Speaking of which, and Doug Williams has a lot of power. Greg Norman fired off a pretty lengthy letter to the PGA Tour commissioner, and this is going to get into the legal system. He started out by saying this: surely you jest, Commissioner Monahan. Surely your lawyers at the PGA Tour must be holding their breath. And then, talking about threatening the... He said, simply put, you cannot ban players from playing golf. Players have the right, the freedom to play where we like.
Yeah, he's talking about the players who might join that Saudi league, the idea that they would then be banned from the PGA Tour. That's what he's striking out against. That's what he's not... on board with. He's calling it bullying, he's calling it threats or threatening and all of that. So yeah, that's where he's coming from, just to clarify, is the you'll be banished if you join the Saudi League storyline.
He said, I noticed a recent article by former chief lawyer to the Federal Trade Commission that stated, let's be clear, a lifetime ban is never going to happen. PGA Tour Commissioner G. Monahan is no doubt being advised by high-priced lawyers who, if they were worth even a fraction of their lofty rates, surely advised him of legal consequences that would blow up in the PGA Tour's face if it imposes lifetime bans on independent contractors who choose to associate with a competitor.
Yeah, I think that I think the bigger thing about the Saudi league, the PGA should just let the world kind of police that out, because if you're going to go join the Saudi league, good luck. Look what happened to Phil and KPMG. Good luck being able to maintain American sponsors. Now, the money might be the same or better or whatever, but at the end of the day, what's going to happen? Right? Are you going to be able to go to Pepsi and say, like, hey, I'm a cool golfer? Yeah, but, American people don't like that you associate with that Saudi league.
Yeah, well, Norman's going to probably end up taking this to court, antitrust lawsuit, if it goes the direction that it's going, or at least that's what he appeared to indicate, because one of the things that was brought up was, well, what if I want to play in both? Like, what if I want to play on the PGA Tour and the Saudi League? Like, if you can swing that with your schedule, I know there's a lot of details still being ironed out, but the PGA's saying, no, you cannot do that. And Norman's saying, you can't tell them that they can't do that. That's an antitrust lawsuit coming your way, buddy. So, yeah, there's a little bit of a civil war going on in the game of golf right now, and the PGA's on one side, and then there's others like Norman and Mickelson, and obviously the Saudis on the other, and I don't know where this goes, but it is providing a little spice and drama off the course, that's for sure.
Well, and they've just made the trip. In fact, the first round today of the Honda Classic, I think it's a Honda Classic down south in Florida. Then they make that run. And, of course, the Players' Championship coming up in I think 2 or 3 weekends, which is the Players' Championship run by the players. And that's what the PGA Tour, they are independent contractors. Now, there are thresholds of when you get points or money or whatever and invitations, etc. But that's going to be interesting. That surely is not over. Let's see. I think we could take a break right here.
Yes.
It's 5:48. Yeah.
Okay.
We put a big red clock in your eye line.
But you know what? If you need to make the red brighter, you do that, I'll stay on time.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, it would literally be like hot pink.
Jack has been working both as a Green Bay Packer. He's got a Green Bay Packers.
We could have one of those like boxing ring girls walk by with a clock, and you wouldn't see it.
No, I wouldn't see it. Yeah. Well, that's because I'm focused on the show and our incredible audience. And time to take a break.
Elton John could be wearing it on his glasses.
No, I didn't notice
You would
him.
not notice
I would
it.
notice him because I could hear him singing. Thank you. Excellent point, Craig. Super League. A lot of you think Santiago's a name we haven't seen in a while. Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Engel with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
It was broad daylight. I stepped into a gas station for 5 minutes to grab a snack, and just like that, my car was broken into. They made out like a bandit. My laptop, my phone, everything. I called my agent to see what could be done, and he restored my faith in humanity. My claim was processed so quickly, and I was able to recover my losses.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T is board-certified physician consultations, will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today. Just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway, Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injuries, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. In a long distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street in Waco is a hidden gem. They've got a great selection of spirits, wine, and the most extensive selection of craft beer in Waco in their gorgeous walk-in fridge. And they have an amazing array of high-end bourbons like Pinhook, Weller, Buffalo Trace, Brush Creek, Hotel, Garrison Brothers, Thomas S. Moore, Hooten Young, and Bardstown. Great customer service and a convenient and speedy drive-through window. Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55, presented by Champion Salon and Barber. To book your appointment, go to championsalonandbarber.com.
Went to Champions yesterday. It was a lovely experience. Always is.
I thought it was a couple of days ago.
It was yesterday. What's the difference? It was yesterday. Cameron cut my hair, trimmed up my beard. I feel like a human again.
That was the first thing he or she should have done.
Cameron.
Yeah. All right.
Cameron's beard down here. He's got a fantastic beard, by the way. We go see Cameron. Please compliment his beard. All right. Let's see. Top 5 college football teams to watch this spring. Jack tells me we need more college football content, and I do what Jack says 100% of the time. I don't ever get in his face. I don't ever throw the F-bomb at him. I'm very polite with Jack.
All right.
It's true. It's true. So Jack suggested this. Number 5, and these are for varying reasons. Iowa State. Iowa State was as veteran-laden as they'd ever been, under Matt Campbell in 2021. Super seniors, all that ready to go. All those guys are gone now. What is this team coming back? And this will be the true measure if Matt Campbell is building something at Iowa State or he built something that is now going to have to be rebuilt. I'm very curious to see what their roster looks like, what their depth looks like coming out of this spring, and who you can expect to see at a lot of, Charlie Kohler gone. A lot of guys gone. They've got a couple back, but for the most part, that team that should have been contending for the Big 12 title last year is gone.
Yeah, it is. I mean, they lost a lot. Yeah. They lost a lot. I don't know if I don't know enough about their younger roster because I haven't had a reason to really take a look at it. I will throughout these next few months, but and then obviously when spring ball starts up, I'll be paying pretty close attention to what everybody's doing. But yeah, just on paper, they're having to replace a lot off a 7-6 team, and that was not supposed to be a 7-6 team, like you said. That was supposed to be a 10, 11, 12 win team. Now I know that there's some Iowa State fans out there, or even some media that no. See, that was or even their head coach. That was y'all's expectations. That was y'all's expectations. That wasn't our expectations. I still don't know what the expectation is, apparently, other than just having fun and singing Kumbaya. And I know I'm joking a little bit with Campbell's comments there, but, he basically said when he made his comments about, that was y'all's expectations. So what should Iowa State fans be expecting? Because if it's all these guys coming back for super senior years and 7-6 is not a big deal to you, well, I guess that's just the mentality. I don't think that's a winning mentality necessarily, but it's one that, a lot of fans are like, yeah, coach, that's right, that I saw. So I don't know. I don't know what their expectations are. I thought they'd have big ones last year and that it would be a disappointment if they didn't reach them, and then they spin controlled it and said, no, we're just glad everybody had fun. So, yeah, I have no idea what they're expecting this year.
Yeah, that's a deflection. There was some pressure mounting, and he probably – maybe looking back at it, I don't know. He's pretty methodical. But, yeah, I remember that comment. That didn't make any sense to me either.
Number 4, Cincinnati. Look, Desmond Ritter's gone, a couple other players. This is a team that reached the heights that group of 5 teams have been trying to reach forever. And they finally did it. Of course, they lost in spectacular fashion, but they were there. But Desmond Ritter's gone. How does Luke Fickell reload this team? I have no doubt that he will, but does it take a couple of years? Because again, much like Iowa State, although now to a higher level, this is a team that had been built over years with veteran presence. Those veterans are gone. What are the recruits like coming back that have built off of those that people know Cincinnati is now on the scene?
Yeah, I mean, Ritter's a good player, but I don't think he's irreplaceable.
No.
I think they can find somebody who can do what he did. But, I mean, they should be a team that's not necessarily reloading and going back to the playoff right away, but certainly not taking a massive drop-off to where it was all just built for this one run, and then now guys leave, and, oh, my gosh, they're back down to the bottom of the barrel. They start with Arkansas this year, which that'll be a really interesting and intriguing game right out of the gates. And I think they also play Maryland in, week 3 maybe. I think it's Maryland, so that's another just kind of interesting game. But for sure, I'm for sure on Arkansas being the opener. But, yeah, I mean, the big news is Luke Fickell coming back. I mean, that's the massive news, and they're going to have to replace a lot. The downside to winning, and Alabama's learned this better than anybody the last few years, and yet they've handled it better than anybody the last few years, is you start winning, people want your people, and they want to pluck them away and promote them and all of that. And so, yeah, Cincinnati is probably going to get pecked a little bit and already have, but I think they've got a great thing going, and I expect them to be a strong team. Not a playoff team, of course, but definitely a strong team next year.
Let me tell you what they did. They got speed.
Those that left the NFL, they are.
Yeah, they being a part of a conference like this will help them. Their recruiting classes will get better. It won't be overnight, but they were already doing pretty well, no question. That's a tremendous run that they made to get to the semifinals.
At number 3, Texas A&M. Quarterback questions abound here. Zach Calzada off to Auburn, and I don't know if he would have been maybe in another legit competition with Haynes King, but Max Johnson now on the roster. So Max Johnson, Haynes King. I believe Connor Weigman is coming early. He's already there enrolled. I may be wrong on that one, but he's there, and he's a true freshman. I don't think Jimbo is want to start a true freshman. I don't think he ever really has before. Redshirt freshman, sure, but true freshman. I don't know about that. That's interesting. Plus, whatever recruits are there early and contributing. Not to mention, how do you fill out, Jalen Weidermeyer gone? That was a big part of your offense. You've got guys, Kenyon Green, you've got to replace. DeMarvin Leal. Yeah, there are guys, big players that
I know that they didn't reach the overall expectations. They had the great win against Alabama. But I'll tell you this, that defense, and there were some times they lost control of the game.
Mike Elko's gone.
They were grown-ass men.
Yeah, Mike Elko's gone.
Mike Elko's gone.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, replaced with DJ Durkin. So, man, we'll see what happens at Texas A&M. But there's some things going on to replace here, and curious to see how Jimbo uses this momentum that he has to hopefully for A&M be better than 8-4 again.
Yeah, I don't think it's like they have to win the SEC this year or else everything, rots or anything. But you do kind of have to make another jump of some sort in the next couple of years to really maintain it, I think. I think they can maintain recruiting momentum because of NIL, regardless of what their record is every year. But as far as, the climb, they're still ascending, slowly but surely in some cases. But to keep ascending and not start descending a little bit, that's the battle. And, you obviously do have to replace a lot, but, man, they've recruited so freaking well. I don't expect you to just right away replace Kenyon Green and DeMarvin Leal and all these guys, but it shouldn't take you as long as it may take others to do that because of the way that you've been recruiting. So Jimbo's a great coach. I mean, they're good. They're also, problematic. Doesn't matter how good they are. The teams around them are always just as good or pretty much as good, and that's the battle you face, being in the SEC West especially.
It's Arkansas up 1 year, or if it's maybe even Mississippi State, or maybe it's somebody else, Mississippi last year. Their first 3 or 4 games are at home in the state of Texas. They play at home, and home. They have Miami in mid-September at Kyle Field, Arkansas and Arlington. So the first 4 games in the state of Texas, then 3 consecutive road trips, Mississippi State, Alabama, and South Carolina.
By the way, I want to make my own correction. It was Miami of Ohio that Cincinnati's playing. I saw the logo and thought it was Maryland, but they are playing Arkansas, but it was Miami of Ohio. I want to correct myself.
All right, number 2, Clemson. Both coordinators gone that have been there a long time, Brent Venables and Tony Elliott. Both of them been there well-tenured with the Tigers and Dabo Swinney. Those guys are gone. The defense was still really good, but Brent Venables is gone. Obviously, one of his assistants was elevated to that spot on the staff. It's a very kind of in the Clemson family staff that Dabo has done there. We'll see how he replaces 2 excellent coordinators who were 2 great head coaching hires. I think UVA hiring Tony Elliott was a home run for them. I think that was the best guy they could have hired. And Brent Venables is going to do great at Oklahoma more than likely. And so you replace that, and quarterback's a question, because an offensive line's a question, and the offensive coordinator's gone, and how can the new guy solve those problems? Clemson, to me, a really interesting team. And is this, because they were great on defense last year, but was last year the first year of repositioning the program for Clemson?
I still think that they have.
I agree with you, but I do think that it bears watching.
There's got to be a little anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be anxiety, but I still think that they're built for the long haul. Although, man, when you slip, you could be in oblivion. I don't think that's the case, but you're right.
Yeah, the good news for them is the rest of their conferences.
The first time in years they're showing cracks in the armor. And, when you start hiring your buddies and it doesn't work out, that's when you really start to get into some dangerous territory. Like, not that Dabo's being, in anywhere close to danger, but, if he has been very fortunate with the staff that he has had and guys like Brent Venables. So that's a loss, man. I don't care how much defensive experience or whatever you have. When you've had a guy like Venables there as long as he was, that's a loss. So I would expect, some type of a step back there. I mean, Clemson's still going to be ultra talented, but there are questions. Like, there are actually legitimate questions and curiosity that's warranted of, okay, are they starting to lose a little bit of their steam? And they'll answer that question this season, but it's a valid question.
They have won 10 games or more for 10 consecutive years.
It's crazy run. Crazy run.
14-1, 14-1, 12-2, 15-0, 14-1. Yeah, but 10-2 and 10-3. You're like, oh,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because you spoiled the hell. As Clemson won those 2 national titles.
Do we not remember with Mac Brown in Texas how, winning 9 games plus every year, like all of a sudden you're like, oh, it's just 9? Like, what are we doing here?
And I would say with this was 10-2 2 years ago to 10-3 this last year. The 10-3 for Clemson was they were playing all these close games that they weren't before. Mm-hmm. You know, like in the ACC, they were running away with it, and then all of a sudden, except for that one game a year where they're like, it was 8 games last year where they were like,
yeah.
So I did that twice, by the way.
Yeah,
that's because they couldn't score.
They're not in the danger zone just yet, but there's a little steam leaking.
They better pay attention or they'll be in the danger zone because plenty of schools haven't, and they think, oh, it'll be just fine. Yeah. And, for example, a school that didn't pay attention to the leaks when they were happening and is now paying a bunch of money for a head coach, USC, our number one school, is very interesting. Almost all transfers. How is this going to fit together? Spring football is going to be very important to get that going and any kind of continuity and momentum. Lincoln Riley will do a fine job at USC, and they'll win more games than they have in the past. But this first year could be a bit of a roller coaster given that the way that he's had to put this team together.
I don't think that Caleb Williams is so good that he's just going to roll in there and all of a sudden they're winning 10 games a year. And I kind of feel like that's sort of like the general expectation. Oh, they got Caleb Williams. It's all good. It's like, well, and I know they got a bunch of transfers. Like USC is going to be better. Like there's no question they're going to be better. Are they going to win 10 games? I don't know. In the Pac-12, it's possible, I suppose. I think Lincoln Riley's a heck of a coach. I know that a lot of fans in Norman have been doing damage control and talking about how, well, he was losing. I saw it today. There was like a whole Twitter debate from I don't know where it originated.
Jason Kersey.
Jason Kersey talking about how, the Sooners actually got worse every year under Lincoln Riley, and that led to a lot of debate. I mean, you might numbers-wise say that, and even I test this last year, you could say that, but, I mean, they were by no means like going down or anything like that. I mean, they were flirting with the playoff every year, so I think he'll do really well out there, and I'm just not expecting it to automatically turn into like a national playoff run in the first couple of years, but with the transfer portal and the hotbed that is Southern California, I mean, it could be done quicker rather than later. That's for sure.
Paul, Catalina, college football, always a great thing. That's how we, on the YouTube channel, got to know a lot of you, and we appreciate many of you in the chat room. We haven't had as much time to get back in there, but I see some new or people who have come back. We appreciate you for that. Santiago, Gregory, JG, I'm not saying you guys have left, but you're there. Roger, and Joey, of course, the West Virginia Phenom fan as well, among many others, and so many more.
Go Ears.
Mike and 2ZS77, all of you, thank you.
And to all you Russian bots, you won't defeat us.
Scotty B, by the way, is going to be honored as the best Baylor fan. I saw where he posted something on that. Emery Winter, thank you for your time, and I sometimes forget you're here because you are just constantly grinding with those podcasts and more. Jack McKenzie, he's wearing an Aaron Rodgers beanie. He's wearing a Baylor Sailor Bear hoodie, and he's done the directing and producing today. Thanks to Paul Catalina. Thanks to Craig Smoak. Thanks to you, all of you, watch and listen, and our incredible sponsors. I'm David Smoak. Good night, Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.